Broadcasting from their world headquarters in Texas, it's the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show, the show that discusses arcade repair, restoration, news, and more. Now, here are your hosts, Tim and Jonathan.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 30 of the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show for August 2019. My name is Jonathan Leung, and I'm the producer, director, and editor of the Arcade Repair Tips video series. And joining me today, as always, is Mr. Arcade Repair Tips himself, Tim Peterson. Tim, how are you?
I'm good.
Can I call this the show that almost didn't happen?
Yeah, maybe so.
So, just to give you guys a little heads up, me and Tim are extremely tired. Tim, as he mentioned on the last show, has been traveling in Germany.
Right.
And you just got back yesterday, right?
Yeah, almost. You don't know this story. I almost didn't get back. Almost missed the plane because the Autobahn was closed.
Oh.
They closed it down because of a wreck, so we were stuck on the Autobahn.
Gotcha. So you almost missed your flight?
Almost missed the flight. It was very close. In fact, it was down to when is the next flight. We're probably not going to make it. But thankfully, you can drive 140 on the Autobahn and catch up.
That's right. So Tim is fighting some jet lag.
Yeah.
I unfortunately had some visits to the ER for one of my kids, Tim, last night, and that means I got 3 hours of non-consecutive sleep last night, as I like to say. So basically an hour here, an hour here, an hour here. So both of us are extremely tired. So this will either be the greatest live show ever or the worst live show ever. It's going to be somewhere on that spectrum.
Or it may be short and sweet.
Or the shortest live show ever, one or the
year.
other. But either way, Tim, I can say for both of us that we're both tired. So if we're not as perky as usual, I'm going to apologize in advance. And I am kind of leaning towards the latter, that this will probably be the worst live show ever. So there you go. But at least we're here. And we are doing a live show on the first Thursday of the month.
Right.
So
I got some great stories to tell if they stick around.
There you go. So Tim will tell you all about his trip to Germany if you stick around for the after show, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the teasers right there. But Tim, obviously you haven't really been at work, I guess, since you've been on vacation. So.
No, it was a vacation, and they actually held together pretty good, and they were glad. They were actually very nice, and we're glad that you go, but we're also glad you're home. I don't know what's worse, to go on vacation and not be missed would probably be the bad thing. Oh, we didn't even know you were gone. I think they realized I wasn't there and was glad I was back, but they were also glad that I got to get away. So you know how it is with a new business. I was glad to get some time off, but they were also glad to have me. So I guess I still have a job. My job security is good.
That is good. And I'm sorry, guys, if the volume is a little wonky. I guess I could turn it up real quick. It seems like somebody's saying the volume is a little low. Hang on just a second. Okay. This is what live shows are all about, guys. Let's see. Is that better?
Testing.
Hello, testing. 1, 2, 3. Is that worse? I don't know. One of the two. Keep talking, Tim. Testing. Nope, I think that's worse. Okay, here we go. See, this is tweaking mic. There we go. Okay, I think we're good there. Is that better? Okay, cool. Okay, so Tim, we have a lot of people in the live chat, obviously, so let's go get around to some of them. YouTube Punk is here. He says hello.
Hello.
Let's see. We have Anthony. He says, I have a Gorf cocktail that won't play past mission 3.
Okay.
So, do you want to tackle that, or you want to go back to that?
We'll jump right into that. Anytime it's getting to a certain place and dying, consistently, especially, you really got to narrow it down to. It could be your power supply, because maybe something happens at mission 3 that requires a little bit more. So sometimes just tweaking that power supply a little bit will help. But most of the time, if the power supply is good, and it probably is, you're having a ROM or some kind of failure at that point. So I would suspect a board issue or a power issue, either one that's not able to process that fast.
Okay, so more than like
Gorf?
Yes, Gorf.
Yeah, more than likely some kind of board issue. Or you can also check the ribbons, cables and stuff like that. Make sure that they're good, that you are getting good between each board, I
mean, the fact that he's getting gameplay up to that point probably means that most of the things are working, but there could be, like you mentioned, there could be something, an issue with loading whatever's in that stage 3 that, on the board, which is why it's stopping there.
Yeah, it seems like I don't remember exactly stage 3. I would remember probably if I was playing it, what was coming up. I haven't played Gorf in a while, but it probably could be taking a little extra processing power, or it's going into some kind of a chasing kind of deal, like you would say on Miss Pac-Man, but it's doing something and causing it to fail at that moment. So it's either probably a chip or your power supply.
There you go. Let's see what else we have here. We've got, let's see, Gojira. Hey guys, it's been a while since I've joined the stream. Glad to have you back. We've got Danny here. He says, nice seeing you again. Good to see you too, Danny. Joe is here. Says volume's a little bit low. Hopefully we fix that now.
Okay.
Let's see. Who else do we have? Diego is here from Argentina.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we have that. Mr. Dwayne is here, 79. Michael is here. He says your Missile Command shirt is terrific.
Oh, thank you.
So there we go. Let's see. Oh, Jonathan's shirt wins. That's what YouTube Punk says.
Oh, wow.
So they
a cool
got
shirt.
this on vacation. I was on vacation the same time you were on vacation.
Yeah.
I did not go nearly as far.
No.
I went to Alabama, but I had a good time, and we'll talk about that in the after show as well. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, bad ROM. YouTube Punk says, yeah, it could be a bad ROM on the Gorf board for sure. Or it could even be bad RAM chips. I mean, sometimes if a bad RAM chip could be when it's starting to load that stuff, that all of a sudden, like, it gets to a certain point, it hits a bad RAM chip and then it can't load anymore. It could be something like that. There's a lot of different
when
possibilities.
I said chip, I was actually thinking of a ROM. Okay. I meant a circuitry chip, but yeah, I was thinking ROM.
Sure. So, I mean, there's a lot of options there. It's really hard to troubleshoot a board without, like, seeing it, obviously having it on the bench and then going through the chips and seeing, you know, how they're actually working, if they're putting out the right input output on each pin, all that kind of stuff, voltages as well. So, but if you're looking for help with it, there's a lot of people that we recommend for board repair and board help on our resources page at arcaderepairtips.com/resources. So. Okay, I think we're caught up.
Okay.
Okay, so guys, this may be the fastest live show ever, like I mentioned, because we are tired. We are going to go ahead and get into the questions, though, Tim, since it looks like we're caught up in the live chat. So let us move forward. And the first one we have is from Dan. And Dan says, I have an Asteroids with an Electro Home Geo5 monitor in it. The picture went out shortly after getting it, and I have been working to diagnose it. I'm working through the Geo5 FAQ, and it talks about making sure I replace the transistors in the HV board, high voltage board, with the fast recovery transistors. When ordering from Mouser DigiKey, how do I know if the transistor is fast recovery or not? It specifies in the FAQ that if fast recovery transistors are not used, damage to the flyback will result. If you can help me out, I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks again. So, Tim, we have Dan here who has an Electro Home Geo5, a black and white vector monitor. Okay. Because that's what they had in Asteroids, right? So a black and white vector monitor here, and he's talking about these fast recovery transistors in this. So, I mean, what is he talking about here with fast recovery, Tim, transistors? I mean, what's going on?
Well, what our research told us was, because I kind of scratched my head when I was reading this at first, a fast recovery transistor didn't sound exactly right, and I believe straight from the monitor, it talks about a fast recovery diode, so secondary diodes that they are. And it does have to be a good diode in there, but I'm not quite sure what the fast recovery transistors or that he was talking about. We didn't find anything in our research, correct?
Right, yeah. I mean, I've never seen, if there is something considered a fast recovery transistor, I guess I've never seen it before.
Right, that may be a great question to ask one of our board repair guys or somebody that does strictly monitor repair.
Right.
And I'm not saying there's not such a thing. I'm just saying that over the years, seems like that would have come up before, but I do remember talking about the fast recovery diodes. So maybe that's what he was talking about.
Right.
And those, I think we have it in the next slide on their part page and stuff.
Sure, and I'll go ahead and throw it up here.
What the NTE part is, which you can do a cross-reference on that.
Right, and as a lot of people know, we love NTE parts, and their cross-reference chart is very good if you need to find a replacement part. But we assume the Dan is using the black and white vector monitor FAQ, which is available on Crazy Kong's website, as well as a whole slew of other websites. So
right.
It's not just on Crazy Kong. And so, obviously, we couldn't find anything in that FAQ about a fast recovery transistor.
Right.
But we've definitely seen fast recovery diodes.
Right.
And I think that's the difference.
Think he's talking about.
Exactly. So, they're diodes that operate at the 30 kilohertz oscillator frequency. So, if you use the normal diode, it specifically says this in the FAQ. If you use normal diodes, you will fry your flyback.
Okay.
Not fly your fryback.
Okay.
Sorry about that, but yeah. So, you see, that's me being tired, right?
Yeah,
there.
that's it.
You will fly your fryback. So.
Okay.
But I think the biggest thing here, Tim, is that he's probably talking about the diodes, maybe not the transistors, like he had mentioned in his email. And so, if you need the fast recovery diode, it is the NT588 according to the FAQ that you need. And Tim, you can get those pretty much at any electronics parts supplier, so DigiKey or Mauser or any of those places where
especially
we get parts.
knowing that part number will help you cross-reference, or they can cross-reference it for you.
Exactly. So, I mean, so that's what we're looking at. So, as far as the transistors go, not familiar with fast recovery transistors, definitely familiar with fast recovery diodes, and that's what it comes down to. So, Dan, if you find some more information or something like that, please let us know.
Right. Or if somebody in the chat knows a little bit more detail than we do, go ahead and chime in, and we will add that into the show here.
Right. But just from reading the FAQ, it does sound like maybe you're talking more about the diodes than the transistors. So, hopefully answers your question, and let us know if you have any other information you'd like to give us, or if you do find the part that says the fast recovery transistors, so we can take a look at it too.
Right.
So there you go. Okay, Anthony says, cool, thanks, I'll check it out for the Gorf that we were talking about earlier, so he's going to check out his board and see what's going on with that. Jason says, I played Gyrus for about an hour last night. It played beautifully, then it decided to have glitchy sprites. Con. Yes, Con.
Okay.
Nice Star Trek reference. Of
yes,
course.
I got that.
So it was playing great, and all of a sudden it had some glitchy sprites. I mean, obviously power supply is a very good place to start on something like this, especially if it was playing well and then it's not.
It's usually like a board connection or something in a Gyrus. They're real, can get a little off. Sometimes reseating your chips will help. Cleaning your board, we talk about that in a little bit of inspecting a board. I think that might be a good video to watch.
Okay. Yeah, and really what it comes down to, if you're having a problem like this that's kind of intermittent, then yes, you just want to check and make sure all your connections on the board are good. Any socketed chips are pressed down and are making good connections to the board itself. If you do those kind of things, you'll probably find the issue. Tim, we've seen where we've had cracked or cold or broken solder joints on boards.
What I'd be interested is if you turned it off overnight, is it good at the start of the next game and kind of after it warms up do it again? Or is it once it started this, it's continually doing this now as soon as you turn on the game? Maybe I can ask that question. You can answer that. That might help a little bit.
There you go. Okay, now YouTube Punk says, have you guys heard about the Arcade 1-Up Star Wars controversy? I don't think we've heard of anything specific, so you may need to elaborate on that. I don't know if there's anything going on. I know that, I guess, are they available to pre-order yet? I'm not for sure. I think they are.
They
actually,
are already?
on the Arcade 1-Up website. But I know that the Marvel Superheroes ones that we talked about in the last live show are available for pre-order on the Arcade 1-Up website, so you can do that. Tim, I know that there's been some talk about the yoke and if they're going to have enough yokes to complete, all the orders and stuff like that, and that they're working to get like a ready manufactured yoke for it.
Wow.
But I don't know if there's any other controversy outside of that.
Yeah, what have you heard?
Exactly. So let us know what you've heard and we'll go from there. But Tim, while we're waiting on that, let us move to the next question from Big Left Toe.
Okay.
So is this your big left toe or my big
No.
left toe? It's somebody's big left toe. He says, my colors on my Miss Pac-Man have become dull when they are very much alive before. The color will flash in and out like they are fighting to go back to normal. Sometimes it will even stay normal for a whole minute, but eventually flashes back to dull colors, even color everywhere. Does this sound like a need to recap or de-goss it? So, Tim, we have a Miss Pac-Man here, and it looks like he's saying that sometimes, he'll get that bright, vivid color on the monitor, and sometimes it'll wash
for a minute,
out.
and
Right,
then it'll
exactly.
go away.
Right.
Yeah, when you're talking about that, it would be more like if it was caps most of the time, it would just slowly get lower and lower and lower and lower. When it's kind of going flashing in and out, it makes me think it's like a connection issue or a cold solder joint or something. Not that it couldn't be a cold solder joint on a cap,
right,
or something, but most of the time we're not talking about a cap kit for this fix. It's more of tracing down. It's probably a wire or something, a certain color that it's losing. I would definitely consider the connections before I would go to a cap kit.
There you go. And Tim, a lot of times we see this with a lot of people kind of mistake the dull colors for a color going out.
Right.
And that may be the case here with Big Left Toe. So let's go ahead and show this real quick. Yes, a mono recap or degauss can help with color issues. I mean, it definitely will. With that said, it sounds more like you're experiencing a problem with your connection from your description. The fact that the colors go dull, then come back normal to a normal state is what leads us to this conclusion. We recommend checking all of the monitor input wires and connections between your monitor chassis and your main board. Tim, you've mentioned that you need to touch up the solder on the input pins going into the chassis. That's a really good place to check, because a lot of times from the connector being pushed on there, taken off, those pins will crack around those solder joints on the bottom.
And I would definitely reconnect the monitor, the neck board.
Right.
I think that sometimes that getting loose over time can cause some of that, what he's talking about. So sometimes just reconnecting that neck board good will bring it back.
Now, it's possible, Tim, he has a problem on his monitor chassis, and we do have a nice video called Checking a Monitor Tube that will help you troubleshoot color issues with your monitor. It talks about how to replace color drive transistors, and also how to check the tube to make sure the tube guns are working properly as well. So, I mean, there's always a possibility you have a problem there as well on the chassis, but always suspect the input wires first before going that route.
I believe you're right.
So, big left toe, hopefully that answers your question, and good luck getting the colors back on your Miss Pac-Man monitor. Okay, Tim, YouTube Punk just gave us $10.
Yay, thank you.
Awesome, thank you. And let's address the controversy real quick, because he did chime in on it, Tim. He said apparently their demo units at E3 and other shows had high-end yoke controllers. So instead of using, like, I guess a reproduction yoke, they were using, like, these high-end yoke controllers. Now, we did hear that apparently there was a guy who was supposedly making a reproduction one for Star Wars cabinets, that he was contacted by Arcade 1-Up to help with their production process. Now,
so
that may not have made it into the prototype models that we're seeing at E3 in places, but I know at least Arcade 1-Up contacted him about licensing the design and possibly using them in the cabinet.
Okay.
So, because he spoke up on that. So, now, whether or not the prototype models had that or not, that's a different thing entirely. As you guys all know, when you do a prototype of something, sometimes you don't get the right parts that you need for that, and so it could have just been that they did it as a fill-in just so they could show it off. So, who knows? But I hope that it'll have a nice custom, very similar to the original yoke controller on it. So.
Yeah.
Let's see. Fernando says, bought my first cab, a Sega Astro City, and can't make the monitor work. First I had no blue, now I have the monitor shuts down when powering after a second. MS8 chassis. So he's getting, it sounds like he may be getting some high voltage failure here, Tim, on his MS8, and so that's a nano, right?
Right. The key is, does it play blind though? Is it a true monitor failure? Anytime your monitor fails and your board and everything's okay, the game will still what we call play blind. In other words, you should be able to start it, you should be able to hear things. It should be as if you're playing, except the screen is blank, so you would be blind playing it. If it does that, then yes, it probably is in your monitor, but it may not necessarily be getting the board and everything. Sometimes you're seeing a blue screen. That may be indicative that it's not actually playing. Your monitor shutting down because it's not getting a signal.
Right.
So that would be something that I would check into. Make sure that you're actually getting the signal and that it is thinks it's playing, that you are just having some kind of high voltage failure.
If you are having high voltage failure, you definitely need to check out our video on troubleshooting games that are playing blind. Obviously, we talk a lot about the high voltage sections of monitors between flybacks and HOTS and all that good stuff. So you definitely want to check that out. If you're having that can help with a lot of that. Tim, a lot of times you will have failures in those HOTS, flybacks, and areas like that. Sometimes there can be filter caps or other things that can cause high voltage failure. But if you trace the line that's coming in from your main power through to your flyback, if there's a problem with your high voltage, it'll be somewhere in that area.
But that'd be our first question. Is it playing blind? That's what you need to answer. And if you're not sure, go try it. And point it up and hit some buttons and see if you're hearing it. See if your game thinks it's working. You're just not able to see anything on the screen. If it's just your monitor, it still would do that.
There you go. Sounds good, Tim. So, Fernando, hopefully that helps you, and let us know if we can help you out further here. Let's see. Michael says, I want to see 6 guys playing X-Men on a 1-Up. Now, here's the thing. There's not a 6-player 1-Up, arcade 1-Up yet, but if that comes, I think it would be very tight.
Yeah.
So the 4-player one's going to be tight. The Ninja Turtles one that
so.
they announced, so for sure. Danny says, I'm having board issues with my CRT monitor and my Lethal Enforcers again. I've seen that they have universal ones, but what do I have to buy? Because I know it's got certain settings on voltage on it, excuse me. So the universal chassis are pretty much universal, Tim, just like the name mentions. Sometimes you will have to send them the yoke resistance settings for your monitor in order for them to make sure that it matches up with what you've got. The nice thing is, I think a lot of Lethal Enforcers monitors, if it wasn't replaced, is probably a K7000 series.
Yeah,
and so
that's
if that's
pretty
the
common
case,
monitor.
I was about to say, if that's the case, the Universal chassis should work on it fine. But sometimes they do request that you send them the yoke resistance, your vertical and your horizontal, just to make sure it matches. But the Universal chassis is pretty universal with most tubes that you're going to come across. So, I mean, if you want to try it out, you know, and you can always contact the sellers of these things. Tim, Game Room Guys for the longest time used to sell them, and there's other sellers on eBay. But contact that seller, let them know what setup you have, even what chassis you have, and they can give you a lot more information as to whether it will work in your cabinet with your tube. So. YouTube Punk says they're doing a bait and switch on the Star Wars yoke.
So you think it's too good a yoke in the prototype, but
And
what you're getting is going to be a lot cheaper.
Right, and that may be true, but as long as it plays close to authentic, I don't think people are going to care too much.
Right.
I mean, like I said, prototypes are prototypes, and a lot of times they've come out and said that this was a prototype model that they were showing off. So prototype models, parts change all the time, guys. I mean, from the time that you prototype something to the time you take it to full manufacturing, stuff changes all the time. I mean, ask anybody who works at a pinball company.
Right.
ask Jersey Jack how many times they had to redo parts when they were doing Wizard of Oz.
Right.
I mean, it's ridiculous. So, I mean, just because you prototype something out and you fill it out and everything doesn't necessarily mean that's what you're going to get on the final commercial version, because sometimes those parts don't mass produce so well.
But you'd think it'd almost be a better, like they would find something better, not worse, you know. So hopefully, if you hear any more, that would be something we'll keep an eye on.
We will reserve judgment until we actually play one, right? Exactly, and we'll see. So let's see. Diego Banjo Contrabajo says, I know how to measure ohm resistance from a yoke. Is there a way to measure what ohms is the chassis expecting? I have a ton of arcade chassis that don't have a label at all. There's a list
website,
that we talked about in the last live show, and I can't remember the website offhand. But there is a list, actually, the Build Your Own Arcade Controls forums. People have put down the chassis and what resistance they are for the yokes. And like I said, we linked to that back on the last live show, so you may check the links in the last live show for that. But Arcade Control specifically had a list of chassis and what resistance they are expecting, and I'm pretty sure we put a link on the last episode. So check that out, episode 29, and see if you can find it there. If you can't, let us know. We'll get you that list. Let's see. One Pawn Star. The picture on my CRT monitor is rotated slightly. Is there an easy fix for this? Thanks. So, sometimes when you move a game, the yoke shifts.
Yeah, sometimes it's just what we always recommend is mark where it currently is.
Right.
So you can't get worse.
Right.
And then you can try to tweak it a little bit. But at least if not, you can kind of get back to where you were and go from there.
So the yoke's the part that actually fits on the back of the tube and has the resistance settings and everything on it. And so sometimes when people shim that up, and you're moving it, it will shift or it will slightly rotate off the monitor. So you may have to push it on the monitor a little bit harder and then maybe either rotate it just a bit to the left, just a bit to the right. Don't do it too hard.
Right.
Because you can
get worse than you are.
You can damage the tube, and you can get worse than you are if you're not careful. But, you know, just if it's just a slight adjustment, slightly move it, like rotate it 360 degrees, or not 360, but rotate it to the left or the right, just slightly, and that hopefully can help you tweak in your picture. It happens a lot, Tim, when you move games because the yokes will shift. It's just part of moving stuff, you know, stuff inside the cabinets gets shifted. So, but if you do that, you can hopefully rotate it back and get that picture even on the bottom and the top. So. Let's see what else we have here. Gohira says, I have a bar top cabinet with a weird CRT. It's a no-name Chinese arcade CRT that only looks good when the original JAMA board was hooked up. I have a Raspberry Pi modded in. It looks off-center and too bright. I'm planning to replace it with an LCD, but I'm wondering if it's worth trying to fix. There's no schematics for the chassis anywhere. And from looking at pics, it's not just mine. Any thoughts? Sorry for the three-part comment. So he's got this bar top that has a CRT monitor in it, Tim. But he's saying that it works fine with a regular
JAMA
board, right? But he's having problems with the Raspberry Pi. Now the question is that, how's the Raspberry Pi getting? I mean, is it a VGA CRT or is it an arcade style CRT? So like, are you emulating the 15 kilohertz via software on the Raspberry Pi, or are you using a converter board? Because that matters a lot as to how the picture syncs. So if you're using a converter board, a lot of times there's things on the converter board that can help you sync the picture in.
My
if you're
guess
going
is
straight to
he's trying to do
VGA,
it.
yeah, if you're going straight to VGA, there's not a whole lot you can do. Sometimes there's some an on-screen display settings that you can do, but not always. It depends on the monitor. So I mean, the real question here is like, how are you connected to the monitor? Are you connected to it via VGA port? Or are you connected to it via like standard arcade hookups? And are you simulating the 15 kilohertz, or are you just using like straight VGA 31 kilohertz for it? Are you using a converter board? Because all those things can factor in as to how you sync in that picture. So, I mean, because if it's working fine with the JAMA board, that means that your Raspberry Pi is sending it a signal that it doesn't like as much as the JAMA board.
Right.
And so we need to figure out what we can do to change the signal off of your Raspberry Pi in order to make it more like the JAMA board and hopefully make it sync better with your monitor. I think the monitor's probably okay if it's syncing with the JAMA board fine. So the question is, what settings are on your Raspberry Pi that are getting a little wonky? So, okay, let's see what else we have here. Danny says, do you think Arcade 1-Up will create a shooting game? I think it would be very hard for them to do that. I think if the demand is there, they will. Right. But, I mean, I don't know.
I was shocked they did a Star Wars. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the Ninja Turtles especially, too.
Yeah.
I mean, both those are kind of shocking there. And so, I mean, the fact that they did both those, I think, shows that there's a willingness to do things that are outside the box. And so maybe a light gun game is not out of the realm of possibility. Guys, you have to remember, though, a lot of light gun games used optical sensors, so it'd have to be some sort of infrared sensor setup or something like that in order to work properly. And so probably with some potentiometer type movement and stuff like that. So
yeah.
Let's see what else we have here. Just wanted to say thanks for the information over the years, and that's from Trailer Vert. So there you go. Awesome. You're welcome. I guess. Are we caught up? I think we're caught up. Okay, so let us move here to Kristen. Now, Chris's has got, let's see, it's like a 3-part question here. Yeah. I think. Let's see. 2-part. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into this. Hey guys, I have a Golden Tee 2005 that has been upgraded, not by me. I'm useless, he says. I doubt you're useless, but we'll leave that to your determination. To a Golden Tee Complete. The game works well, but the monitor is getting pretty dark, almost unplayable when I first turn it on, and then after 15 minutes brightens up a little so that it's just playable. I have adjusted brightness and contrast, but they are now maxed out, and the screen is still very red and purple, but it works okay. I would like to switch it out if it's relatively easy. I see lots of info on your question and answer database, as well as other websites about switching out old CRTs for new LCD LED monitors, but I don't know where to connect the Gombus GBS A200 that you mentioned in one of your posts. I have attached a couple of pictures on my board. Would you be able to show me exactly where I need to connect it and let me know what you if you think it will work based on the board and the pictures? Thank you for any help you can offer. Your website is great. Sincerely, Chris. So Tim, you can see the pictures over here. His screen is definitely pink and purple, I would say, and we can see the boards and everything. Now, Tim, you will notice that this Golden Tee 2005 board has something that looks like a VGA output and a VGA card. But with this year and model of Golden Tee, it will not put out the 31 kilohertz VGA signal. It will only do medium res and standard res.
Okay, so you couldn't just hook up an LCD right straight to there.
As tempting as that would be, you will not be able to sync. Right, exactly. So it's still, the video card is just there. It connects to the main board, and the main board still puts out the video signal through the JAMA connector. So that's something to keep in mind. So Tim, with Chris here, I mean, what do you think is the best way for Chris to go about this issue? Obviously, he's looking at maybe replacing it with an LED, LCD. He mentions the Gombus 8200, which is a very popular video converter. What do you think he should do? Which direction do you think Chris should go in?
Well, my personal opinion is that he should try to fix the screen that's on there. It looks like it's just missing a color, maybe a green or something, which is, he's not getting the desire because he's not getting the brightness because he's not getting all the true colors.
Sure.
And I would try to check the inputs and pins and all that kind of stuff,
like
and maybe do a cap kit or get that monitor fixed. Having said that, it certainly looks great with an LCD in there, and the directions should come with the GBS board. Should come
they do,
in there,
but they're pretty terrible because
we need to shoot a video on it. It's not going to be hard. It's going to hook up kind of like your regular monitor, though.
The funny thing is that at one point we hooked one of these up to a Golden Tee and we should have filmed it. But we didn't. So we definitely hooked these up before, and there's a lot of videos on YouTube that by other people showing how to hook this up. But guys, we really don't recommend using these converter boards anymore, Tim. Because
if you buy an arcade quality LCD,
right?
Then
you don't need it.
You don't need it.
Right, exactly. If you buy something that's multi-sync, which we've talked about a lot, multi-sync monitor. If you buy a multi-sync LCD, it will support 15 kilohertz, 25 kilohertz, and 31 kilohertz.
Right.
Which means that you can use VGA, you can use medium resolution, you can use standard resolution, and you don't have to have the converter board. So, I mean, in most cases, Tim, we're going to recommend going that route.
I think so.
Because we want you to have arcade quality parts in your arcade cabinet. Now,
Sure.
You can always go the Gambas route, get the video converter board, get an off-the-shelf monitor, and it will work. But mounting the monitor is harder. Dialing in the video converter is harder. Doing a lot of things. It's a lot more difficult to go that route. It is cheaper, but it's more labor intensive, in my opinion. So it kind of depends on which way you want to go for that. So Tim, let's go ahead and show this. So let's talk options. From your picture, it looks like the current monitor is probably missing a color, perhaps green, Tim. Because I mean, I don't know about you, but when you play Golden Tee, like, you should see a lot of green.
Lots of green.
Tons of green on the screen, and I'm not seeing anything. I see pink and purple. I see a lot of red, and I see some blue. I see some blue in there. So, but I definitely don't see green. So I'm guessing he's missing green. Which is why you're not getting the desired brightness. You can try checking your input wires and pins, Tim. We mentioned that. Color transistors as well, neck board, kind of the same stuff we mentioned on the Miss Pac-Man earlier. If you really want to go the replacement route, we recommend buying a commercial-grade, open-frame, arcade-quality LCD monitor. Can I say that again?
Look for the words open frame. That's where it will separate it from a non-typical arcade monitor.
Commercial-grade, open-frame, arcade-quality LCD monitor, which can run you around $400 to $500, which I know is pricey. Because you can get an off-the-shelf monitor for like, what, $150?
Right.
And then you can get the converter board for like $50 or less. So $200 versus $400 is almost half the price. But the amount of time that you will spend trying to mount the monitor and trying to get the converter board dialed in and stuff, it's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
To just buy one that's ready to go. Make sure you get a multi-sync one. That's key, Tim, that supports standard and or medium resolution. And, Tim, it doesn't matter if it only supports standard or medium.
Most of the new ones do.
Right, because Golden Tee will use either. You just have to make sure you get the dip switch settings correct. So, you see, there you go. Louis just actually linked to one, the 25-inch multi-sync. And they're expensive.
Right.
They're expensive, but do it right.
Yeah.
Right? Fix it like
you're going to keep it.
Exactly. Fix it the right way. So the GBS 8000 series converter board will work as well, like we mentioned, but it's just a whole lot more hassle, Tim, to go that route than to go.
It's going to be a lot cheaper just to fix the monitor that's in there, even if he has to send it off.
That is true. So if you're having issues with the monitor itself, you ship it off. I mean, more than likely, this is going to be a pretty easy fix for somebody to find because it is probably color related. So, like I said, a color transistor, maybe some wiring issue, or maybe an input pin issue. I mean, it's going to be something small and simple. If you get that green restored, though, I think you'll be very happy with your monitor. What do you think,
it looked way better.
So, there you go. But yeah, I mean, and you could go with the smaller monitor. Goya says, like a 14-inch. You could go with like a 19-inch. 19-inch multi-syncs are what, $200?
Yeah.
But the problem is then you have a really small screen and a really big cabinet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just depends on what you want to do there. But hopefully answers your question, Chris. You might try seeing if you repair the monitor or sending it off for repair. Tim, we have a lot of monitor repair guys on our resources page at arcaderepairtips.com/resources. Or you can buy an open frame commercial grade arcade quality LCD for a little bit more. Or you can go the video converter and off the shelf monitor route. It's just kind of, it costs you more in time than it does money. So it's kind of like time versus money. If you buy the commercial grade open frame arcade quality LCD, it pretty much it's made to go into an arcade cabinet. It already mounts well and all that kind of stuff. If you buy an off-the-shelf one, you'll have to figure out how to mount it. You'll have to figure out how to dial in the converter board. And it just takes more time on your part. So this really depends on which way you want to go with that, Chris. So hopefully it answers your question, and let us know which way you decide to go on this repair. Okay, Tim, let's see what else we have here. And Louis it looks like he's actually replying to let's see, Gohira. I hope I'm saying that right. A couple of times where he's talking about changing that signal. He says he's using a JPEG to convert the Pi's VJ signal to CGA. The Pi can do 240p 15 kilohertz natively, so maybe the JPEG is messing it up. It could be. The amplifier in the JPEG could be having an issue. But you could also try a converter, like a video converter, the Gambas inverse of this converter board. There's a Gambas board that converts VGA to standard resolution 15 kilohertz. And so if you wanted to, you could try putting the Pi into like native 31 kilohertz mode and then try a converter board and see if that converter board gives you different results.
Yeah, especially if it looks good on a JAMA board.
Right, which he's already said. So and Louis linked to some monitors and things that he can get. and some different things. So, I mean, yeah. Guys, I know that arcade quality, like arcade design monitors are expensive, but you kind of get what you pay for.
You do.
So it is what it is. Robert says, about a brand new Pac-Man, I bought, a brand new Pac-Man right out of the box, called support, never anything done on issue, so anyone want a Pac-Man? Okay, so I guess Robert has a Pac-Man if somebody's looking for one, is what it sounds like. Let's see. Michael's,
new Pac-Man?
Yeah, that's what it says. Let's see. Michael says, hello, guys. I thought Tim was out of the country. He was yesterday.
As of yesterday.
Yes, he was out of the country yesterday. He came back in just for the live show.
That's it.
That's right, just for you guys.
Thought we were going to have to Skype and do it, but you know what I found out about German high speed?
What?
It's the worst.
You're not supposed to do that?
That's not the joke.
Oh, okay.
That's not the joke.
What kind of speeds were you getting over there? Were you doing speed tests?
Yeah, we're not very good, but I think it's where the hotel we were staying at. I think they like to keep it a little more old school. You know?
Gotcha. Sounds good. Okay, here. Oh, okay. Robert is elaborating. Let's see here. Let's see. Bought a new Pac-Man. Right out of the box, called support, never anything done on issue. So it sounds like he's got a white screen that's right out of the box. Yeah, I don't know if it's an arcade 1-up. Robert is in an arcade 1-up. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Because if it is, because we've seen some white screen stuff on those specifically. So if it's an arcade 1-up, you need to try to call them. And try to call them like 15 or 20 times because their support lines get really busy. And so make sure that you are trying to call multiple times because I've heard people complain about not being able to get through support. Send them an email, call them multiple times. Hopefully you'll get through to them. But if it is a arcade 1-up, we would recommend you calling the company. If you need support too, you can reach out to them on Twitter. They're actually pretty good about getting back to you that way. So, but you may reach out to Arcade 1-up Official on Twitter as well and let them know that you're having an issue with it. So what has happened is that those boards will go bad or the monitors will go bad, and they will ship you a new board or a new monitor depending on what your issue is.
Wow.
So, and they can walk you through some troubleshooting steps, but go ahead and, like I said, call them a couple of times because it takes a while to get through. So, and like I said, they've sold a ton of these things, and they're still trying to support as many things as they've sold is, I think, very difficult.
Yeah.
And so, expect some wait times and busy signals and stuff when you call.
Remember, they're in California, too, so adjust for the time that you call.
Absolutely. So, okay, Tim, let us move on to Eddie here. Now, Eddie does have a three-part question, or a three-screen question, quite a bit in here, so I'm going to try to get it real quick. Hi, Tim. I was hoping you could provide me some guidance on troubleshooting some issues that I'm having with a stand-up arcade build that I'm working on. I purchased a JAMA 2001 board, and I have been watching a lot of your videos to gain a better understanding on how to install it into the cabinet. Most of the instructions seem pretty straightforward, and I'm racking my head trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong. I followed the metrics and hooked up all of the Player 1 and Player 2 wires to their respective buttons and terminals. I am using 5-volt lights to illuminate the buttons, 6 for Player 1 and 6 for Player 2. All the switches are grounded, and I triple check the lines to make sure that they are going to the correct endpoints. After getting everything hooked up, I powered on the JAMA board for the first time, and it boots to the game menu, but none of my buttons or joysticks are responsive to any commands. I am actually only able to select the one-player start button, and since it is highlighted on only the first game of the menu, it will start to load the game, but none of the buttons or joysticks are responsive. So I have to hold the one-player start button for 3 seconds, and it goes back to the game menu, but I can't do anything else. Can you provide some help to troubleshoot what I need to do or what I'm not doing right? Any guidance would be appreciated. This is my first build, and I am lost. Thanks, Eddie. Okay, I think I got through all that. Did I do it?
Yeah, you did it.
Okay, there you go.
I think I understand.
Yeah, so we got Eddie here, and he has a JAMA 2001 board.
2001.
Right, so
board.
There's a lot of these different multi-JAMA boards, but he's got a multi-JAMA board, and basically his Player 1 start button works and nothing else does. Now, here's the deal. Eddie already got back to us about what he said he already fixed it, and he told us what it was. But let's see if you can guess what it is, Tim, because I know what solved the problem.
Yeah, every time that I have seen this, it's been a wire connection grounding issue. And you got to notice that your ground wire runs probably up to the Player 1 start button, but from there it should be daisy chained around to all the others. And if there's any break in that chain, it can cause whatever buttons are after it not to work. And since nothing is working, I would have started with that Player 1 and went from to wherever it goes next, and I would have been doing some continuity tests to see where the break in the wire was.
Well, Tim, you nailed it on the head because he emailed back and said it was a break in his daisy chain ground wire. So we will go ahead and throw that up here, though, for that information so you guys will have it. There are a couple of things that can cause the issue. Grounding is very important when it comes to wiring up your controls. We typically use the ground wires at the start of the harness, pins 1 and 2, as our inputs from the power supply, and the ones at the end, pin 27, 28, as our outputs to the controls. Keep in mind that some multi-game boards, or many, use pin 27 as an action button, button 6, so you may only have a ground at pin 28 to work with, something to keep in mind. It's also possible your ground wire daisy chain broke, which was the case in this particular issue, Tim, or it came out of the connector right after the player 1 start switch. Use continuity setting on your mirror to check the connections. And Tim, like I said, we heard back from Eddie, and that was indeed the case.
Okay,
so
awesome.
There you go. So he solved his own issue, but we would have told him the same thing to fix it.
Well, it's still very helpful for everybody else watching to learn or to think about that next time that happens. Very, very, very common.
Absolutely. Now, Tim, it looks like Robert, it is an arcade 1-up. Louis said, asked him if you can take it back to Walmart. He said no. If you can fit it back in the box, you can take it back to Walmart.
I believe that.
Okay. I mean, because here's the deal, Tim. I have seen ones that I know were open for a fact on the shelf.
Yeah.
So I know that they have taken them back. Mm-hmm. So it may say do not return to store, but if it never worked out of the box, guess what I'm doing?
I'd take it back to Walmart.
Taking it back to the store. So just do it. So, and you see Louis even said with Walmart, usually if you make a scene at the counter, they will whisk it away and take the return. How long has it been? Since February. Now, that's a little long, but if you have the receipt still, I would still try, because I think that in this particular case, you have a product that you bought, it's not working.
Yeah, but Arcade 1-Up will probably take care of it too.
Correct, yes. So if you contact Arcade 1-Up, either via Twitter or their phone number or their email address, if you contact them, They do take care of issues, but Tim, it does take a while. Okay. And like I said, getting through is very difficult. So it may take 6 weeks for you to get your part, but you should get your part. Okay. So we'll say that. I mean, I've gotten stuff from them. I've got the deck protectors. It took 4 weeks in some cases, but I did get them. So I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say they don't ship stuff out. They do. It takes a while. Be patient.
Yeah. Has it been this way from day one, or did it just go out on you?
Yeah, it sounds like it's been this way from day one.
Sounds like that way.
Yeah. So I mean, in that particular case, take it back to Walmart. That'd be frustrating.
Yeah,
exactly.
I would take it to Walmart.
Yeah. Let's see, Billy, do you guys do pinball tips as well, or just video games? We do some pinball tips. Our guys who run the podcast, Eric and Rusty, are way better with pinball than we are. We'll be honest with you.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and ask. We'll be glad to try to tackle it.
Absolutely. So if you've got a question, let us know.
We're smart enough to tell you when we don't know.
There you go. Michael, have to go to Once Upon a Time in America, so I'll watch later. Have a good show. Okay, Michael, we'll see you later. Right, let's see what else we have here. I have a question about Jurassic Park Pinball by Data East. The right flipper is really weak, and I've ruled out mechanical stuff. I can't figure it out. And Louis says, have you tested your coil? That's the first thing to check. Yeah. Now, they do have flipper rebuild kits that you can get, and so it may be worth getting the flipper rebuild kit, so that way you can just do all that. It comes with a new coil, Tim, right, and some other things as well. Usually new diodes for the drives and stuff like that, and some other things.
Yeah, so, you can also run a ground straight to your coil and see if it flips good like that. You'll know that it's probably a transistor or something that drives it, or is it actually a bad coil? Exactly. So I mean, there's a couple. Switch it with the other coil. Exactly. So yeah, if it's only your left flipper, switch the coil with the right flipper. See if that improves it. If it does, just order another coil. Yeah. But they do have flipper rebuild kits that you can get. That's worth rebuilding, especially if you're going to keep it and it's been a while. Now he's saying both of the flippers are weak. Okay. So in that particular case, you may need to get like I said, a rebuild kit for both. But I mean, if they're weak, Tim, a lot of times the drive wouldn't necessarily do that. Then it's sometimes it's the board not allowing enough power to go through them. Right. That's why I would test them with a ground. You can fire the flipper yourself without the board doing it. See if that's a difference. And then when your board plays it. But having said that, we had a Data East game before, and a lot of people complained about them being weak, period. Like you just didn't get much better. Sure. But I would definitely consider rebuilding at least one of them to see if it improves it. There you go. And you see, Louis actually linked to the flipper rebuild kits as well. So there you go. And Robert does say day one on that arcade 1-Up. He said, I got new artwork in 3 weeks. It was faded screen. Never received. Just disappointed. But thank you for the advice. You really have to be on them.
a lot of times, Tim. They are, and like I said, I think it's because they're overwhelmed with the amount of tech support that they've had. So complain on Twitter.
Right, yeah.
So it's public and everybody can see you complaining. I think that helps a lot.
I think so,
But
too.
also try to call them a couple of times and see if you get through. Tim mentioned make sure that your time zone matches up with their support times because that's very important. Because no support is there past the time they say they're going to be there. Never.
Right.
So they leave like 5 minutes before they're supposed to close down in a lot of cases. So make sure that your time zones match up with what their time zones are.
I don't know they're always there right on time either. But
no, they're not. But it is what it is. Try calling a couple of times throughout the day and see if you get somebody to help you.
Yep.
So there you go. Okay, Tim, I think we're caught up at this point. Let's go ahead and move to Jacob. Hey guys, I was curious about this here. Where do you buy your capacitors from? I am attempting to fix up a English Mark Darts circuit board. I've heard the real Bob Roberts is good, but heard he went silent a few months back. Any other good places where I could buy capacitors from? Thanks. So Tim, we got Jacob here. He's just looking for a place to buy capacitors.
Okay.
So where would you recommend buying capacitors
Well,
from?
the first place I would start for any part is go to our resource page, and on there we list people that not only are we familiar with. In other words, there are a lot of people out there, a lot of places you could buy them, but these are people that we have used before and had good experiences with. Some of them I can think of, we'll talk about in the next slide, are Syracuse Semiconductors, Arcade Shop, In Catalog, Twisted Quarter. There's many others, even Mike's Arcade, other places that you can buy them from for a kit, like that will sell you, if you know the monitor type, what a kit for it that will replace most of the capacitors on your monitor. But you can, if it's a certain capacitor, then you could just get 1 or 2 or 10 or however many you need, going through like DigiKey or Mauser or somebody like that.
Right, so it really depends on what you're looking for. In your particular case, it'd probably be better to go to DigiKey or Mauser just because you can get the individual caps from them. A lot of the cap kit places, they offer the kits, but they're not going to offer the kits for the dartboard that you're looking for.
Right.
But at the same time, if you email them a list of caps that you needed, more than likely they could put together a kit for you.
Right.
So,
but somebody probably has, it's a certain type of monitor that if you can find out what kind, or it's on a board or something, it's not necessarily a monitor, right?
Right.
If you can read out those caps, the same people who make cap kits usually have those caps around, or they'll make you a kit.
Exactly. So I'll go ahead and show this here, Tim. See Arcade Parts Suppliers on our resources page, Tim, and Louie also linked to it in the chat there so you guys can go to it. Some of the cap kit suppliers we recommend are Syracuse Semiconductor, Arcade Shop, Ian Kellogg, and Twisted Quarter. Guess what, Tim? Yeah. We have ordered from every single one of those places,
sure.
And guess what?
Well,
we've always gotten good caps.
Yeah.
So, we've never had a problem with them. So, if you need cap kits, order from one of those places, they'll hook you up. If you're looking for individual caps, though, Tim, try ordering directly from electronics parts suppliers such as DigiKey, Mauser, etc. You can try ordering individual caps from the cap kit suppliers we mentioned above. They may be a little bit more expensive, but they would probably put together the kit for you. So, you give them a list of caps, more than likely they can put together a kit for you. And there's DigiKey and Mauser. Louie just put them in the live chat for you guys. So, cool. Okay. So that answers Jacob's question there, Tim. Yeah, if you email one of the cap kit suppliers and tell them what caps you need, they can get together the caps for you.
Yeah, some of them will.
They'll charge you for it, but
sure.
If you're just looking to put together a kit, because more than likely the caps that are on that that was a English darts game. Whatever caps you have on there, more than likely are the same caps you find in cap kits and other things.
Sure.
So there you go. So hopefully answers your question, and good luck with your repair, Jacob. Now we got a couple of questions from our website. AJ says, I have an Arcade Legends 2 with screen burn-in. Can I replace the monitor? If so, with what and how? Thanks, AJ. John says, my vertical screen collapse comes and goes anyway to help it stay for good. So, Tim, we've got screen burn and vertical collapse. Those are our topics du jour from AJ and John. So, what can we do about screen burn?
Well, if it's already permanently burned, etched into the monitor, there's not a lot you can do.
Can I just say not a thing?
Yeah, not much. I mean,
right.
you can do some things to mask it, like putting a piece of smoke glass over it, smoke plexiglass, but more than likely you're going to have to replace the monitor or replace the tube, which is not really an easy option. But sometimes just for time to replace a monitor.
If you got another tube lying around, some people do, Tim. If you got another tube lying around, you just throw another tube in it.
Right.
Some people don't. If you don't, you can check junkyards and stuff like that. Or you can just replace the monitor with an LCD. Those are kind of your options on that. Okay, I've got vertical collapse. It goes in and out. I hit the side of the monitor, it collapses, I hit it again, and it comes back
Anytime
full.
you got something, we've talked about this, or even in this show, going in and out, working, not working, those are generally signs of a bad solder joint or a bad connection somewhere. So try removing it and retouching up the soldering or checking all your connections.
Especially on the vertical IC.
Yeah.
Because that's, I mean, a lot of times when we get vertical collapse, somewhere in that vertical section of your monitor, there's going to be a cold solder joint more than likely.
More than likely.
So let's go ahead and throw this up here, Tim. For AJ, yes, you can replace the monitor, but if it's working, you might consider just replacing the tube. Of course, finding a compatible tube can be a hassle. Another trick is to install a piece of smoked plexiglass, and we'll turn the brightness up on the monitor. This will mask the burn, and Tim, it works really well.
Yeah, especially in that particular Miss
Now, that's just an example.
Yeah,
that's not his monitor.
I know that we've used it before in a Miss Pac-Man. It really fooled the average person pretty good.
Yeah, exactly, it does. And unfortunately, like I said, it doesn't
or extend the life of your monitor.
Doesn't solve the problem.
No.
Okay, but it does mask it to where, and you turn up the brightness a little bit, very hard to tell it has any screen burn on it.
Yeah.
Then for John, if your monitor collapse is going in and out, you probably have a cold solder joint somewhere on your chassis, probably in the vertical section. Try removing the chassis from your cabinet, touching up any cold, cracked, or broken solder joints, see if it helps. In the vertical section as well as around the yoke wires, Tim. That's for the places you want to definitely check. So if you touch up solder there, hopefully you'll get a nice full picture without the collapse happening randomly. So there we go. Okay, we got a couple of things here. Michael says, talking about pinball, I played Deadpool. Fantastic table. If you see one, jump on it. I have played Deadpool. It's pretty decent. Yeah. So I'm not a huge fan of it, but I do like to play it. It's fun. Let's see what else we have here. Danny says, thoughts about buying a Guitar Hero arcade that needs some work. Wondering if it runs off a hard drive or a computer. I believe it does run off a computer.
It's a computer. And
oh, you used to have one. I forgot. So
we have a computer in storage.
Oh, we do for Guitar Hero?
Yeah.
There you go.
I sell it cheap. I was going to say I sell it pretty cheap. It works, or it was working.
All right. Well, yeah. So it runs off a computer. It's a computer-based game. So yeah, you will need a replacement computer.
I think it has a dongle on it too that you might have to have, but I have it. If you don't have any luck with it, let me know.
Were they throwing yours out or something? Is that what you're
yeah, when they trashed it, I got it a couple years ago. It's in a big box, sitting right in front of one of your games.
I think I know what box you're talking about.
Kind of crushed in on the top.
But you will need a new computer, Tim. Now, let's say they're not buying it from you. What's the cost of that computer?
Gosh, I don't even know if you can get it anymore. At least.
Well, they're still selling them, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what they would charge you just for a computer. At least $800 or $1,000 probably.
Okay.
And I'm a lot cheaper than that.
Sure, sure. Let's see what else we got here. YouTube Punk, FYI, Harbor Freight has the Costco hand truck on sale for $100. Has a mag liner configuration with the lean config. You have to get the email, the coupon code. I did see that, Tim.
Yeah.
So if you guys are interested in that, you can get it. It's a pretty good deal.
Okay.
So, let's see. Super Nintendo Zach. I go to the American Amusement Auctions in Texas. I find lots of great dedicated cabinets with terrible burn on the monitors. Will all monitors work with all cabs?
No.
No. Well, I mean, yes, all monitors will work with all cabs, but not all tubes will work with all chassis. Is that
yeah,
the right
I think that's what he was saying. Yeah,
right.
That's what I was
Not all
thinking
tubes will work with all chassis, so you can't just take
exactly.
You can't just take a chassis from one and hook it up to a different tube. If the neck board fits, you got about an 80% chance, a 75 maybe, 75% chance of it working if the neck board fits.
If the neck board don't fit, you must quit.
That's right, exactly. Remember that. So if the neck board doesn't fit, you must quit. But and what you really want to do though is make sure that the resistance on both the tubes that you're testing are the same, and that the neck board fits. If those two things match, you're in business. So there you go. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, YouTube Punk. Wish it was that easy. We do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Mr. Silverball Mania. Hello from the Buckeye State. Cool. There you go. Let's see. Jason says, I've never made it to that auction. But I'm fighting farmer. Oh, there you go. So, but yes. So our buddy David is the one who runs American Amusement Auctions.
Oh, he's nearby there.
Yeah. So, but he says he goes. Super Nintendo Zach says he goes to the American Amusement Auction in Texas. That's the one that we go to.
I'm actually going to try my best to make it to the next one with my boss to scope out some new games and maybe.
So maybe we'll be there. Okay.
Maybe.
So our friend David runs the auction. He's one of the owners of it, and so he has a lot of help with that, of course. But David has been in the arcade business for longer than we have, so he knows a lot about it and definitely knows what things should go for. So he has a very good idea of pricing, but. I think it's a wonderful thing that there's still auction companies right now, too, that you can still get games at. Because without those, I don't know how many cabinets would be making it out in the public. So,
no.
Absolutely. So, okay, let's see what else we have here. Oh, okay. Actually, we can go into... Oh, September 27th. It looks like is the next one.
Okay.
September 27th. So you got...
I do want to
2 months.
try to make that one.
There you go. So, okay. We have, I think, our last one here from Christopher, Tim. So... I enjoy watching your tips videos for repairing arcade games. All your monitor videos show a vertical hold and or horizontal hold on the control panel. My arcade monitor doesn't have those little dials.
Okay.
I like how he says that. I only have the color dials, brightness and focus, but no other control panel. Am I missing something, or are those things sold separately? Should I buy a new flat screen replacement? Thanks, Christopher.
Okay.
So, Tim, we have Christopher here. What should he do if he's missing the vertical and or horizontal hold on his monitor?
Well, we got to know what kind of monitor he has to really answer that question. It may just be he doesn't quite know where they are. They could be a pot that he doesn't recognize. But it also could be that he's completely missing a board, like his neck board.
Right.
Daughter board.
Yeah, remote board.
Remote board is completely missing.
Right.
So if that is the case, depending, you might just have to buy a replacement or something that would work. But most of the time, we got to know what kind of monitors are like. There's not quite enough information here to really answer the problem well. But that's kind of where I'm going with it.
Well, what
right
I was
now.
going to say is I've seen a lot of missing remote boards on K7000 monitors.
Yeah, it's pretty common.
And now you can get those. And so, let's just go ahead and put this here. Pretty much every arcade monitor that we have come in contact with over the years has horizontal and vertical hold adjustments on the monitor chassis, Tim.
Yeah.
Can you think of one that didn't? Not many.
No, not offhand.
Yeah. They may not be labeled as such, but we have been able to locate them through the repair and testing process. With that said, we have seen monitors where the remote board's totally missing, Tim, or the pots have been damaged. If you let us know what kind of monitor chassis you have in your game, we can definitely help you out.
Yeah, we need to know what kind.
So, okay, so there we go. So, Tim, I think that actually wraps up the questions, but that kind of moves into your tech tip.
Right.
And, Tim, I'm going to take a little break here for a second. So, I got to go to the restroom.
All right.
I'm going to be honest with everybody out there because we're tired. Exactly, we're tired, and it's been a long day. I've been up for many, many hours.
All right.
So, and you have too. So, we're going to take
Just
a little
a
break
few.
here, guys. We're going to come back with Tim's tech tip real quick, but hold on for just a second. Sorry for the pause, guys. So, here we go. There we go. Okay, that wasn't very long.
Okay.
We're back. Sorry, guys. It is, like I said, it's been a long day. Whew. So, Tim, like we were saying, we were talking about remote boards, and how this one's going to kind of pair into Christopher's question here.
Right, to our tech tip.
Exactly. So why don't you go ahead and tell us our tech tip? I'll go ahead and throw up the slide here so you can see it.
I'm just going to go over the slide with everybody. My tech tip this month is to purchase a remote board kit. So especially if yours is missing or you're having trouble sometimes with broken pots or whatever, Twisty Wrist Arcade. So this is a kind of a company we haven't talked about, but you put in the link right there. Has replacement remote boards for the Wells Gardner K7000 just in case one of your game is missing for some reason. And I don't know why that particular chassis, seems like we have run across some that are missing, and it boy is hard to deal with when they are. They also offer remote potentiometer kits for Geo7 as well as the Sanyo 20EZ. These remote kits basically replace the adjustment pots. You know, we've had a lot of people talk about the sound problems on Nintendo boards from their pots. Maybe this would be a good alternative. Instead of trying to rebuild it, you can just get a replacement one, which makes it easier to tweak your monitor's picture to your liking. So
you can bring that remote board around to the front.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to hold the mirror up like we have to do.
Like we've shown and had to do plenty of times. So didn't know if this is one of those things we didn't know if everybody was aware of. Maybe you don't need it today, but you want to write down that in case, or sometime that you might need it, or maybe even pick one up just for future repair or troubleshooting.
We've seen a lot of K7000 series that definitely are missing remote boards. That's been something I think because they're so tiny and those little connectors on the top come out so easily that it seems like they go missing. And sometimes they'll work without them, but a lot of times they won't, and you won't be able to tweak the pictures. So that's why I'm just guessing Christopher may have a K7000, Tim, that he needs replaced. But I do like being able to relocate the Geo7 and Sanyo EZ pots on the front, so that way I can adjust the monitor without standing in the back and having to see the mirror and everything like that. So, but anyway, so Twisty Wrist Arcade, there you go. And we also had a if you go to bit.ly/TWA-remote-boards, it'll also give you all three of those options for you to purchase. So,
okay,
cool stuff. Mr. Silverball Mania says, that was quick. Did you wash your hands? LOL. I always wash my hands, Mr. Silverball Mania. There you go. I always do, Tim. Totally. He heard me. I have a witness.
Yeah.
So there you go. Let's see what else here. I find that regular CRT TVs like 26 that works to replace burn-in screens, and heck, they are free. You know, CRTs though, it seems like they have been kind of pricey. Like the prices are going up. I think demand is going up.
I think he's talking about tubes. He's finding tubes for free.
I know. Well, he's saying from CRT TVs. In our area, it's hard to find a CRT TV, and when you do find it, it's pricey sometimes.
Yeah.
Like you can find one out.
It's kind of grown into that retro.
Exactly.
Kind of deal.
Right, exactly. So trying to find that stuff can be very difficult. So, I mean, if you're in an area where there's a lot of CRT TVs around and you can still get them and people are dumping them off on the curb and everything, then that's definitely an option for you to replace your CRT tube. But if you're not in that area, they may be pricier than what you're thinking. People used to just give them away.
Yeah, all the
Goodwill
time.
has stopped taking them. And so what ends up happening is a lot of the CRTs end up electronics recycling.
Yeah.
And so they don't come back from that. They don't resell them. You know, they just tear them down for parts.
Right.
And so it's really hard. So it may be hard to find a CRT TV now in your area, depending, just because, like Tim mentioned, they're more retro now. So there you go. Okay, Tim. Well, let us continue on here. Now, Tim, this actually broke before the last live show.
Right.
But I liked it so much I thought that we would talk about it because I just think it's crazy. So let's go ahead and go into our discussion portion. Here are some of the news stories that have been making headlines on the Arcade Repair Tips Facebook page. Mom's angry after spending €100, pounds,
yes,
on arcade machines to win Teddy for Child. And this is from the UK, Tim. A mom wanted to win a toy for her son after putting nearly 40 pounds into the crane machine. She complained to the staff. The staff adjusted the setting and she won a toy in the next go. She wanted a second toy. She put 60 pounds into the machine over the next few days. She complained again, phoned the manager who says you can put as much money in, 100 pounds for instance, but you still won't win it. So there you go, Tim. So the question is how do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, she's obviously it sounds like that this operator has set his crane games on what I like to call near impossible.
Right.
So is that a fair conclusion for me to make?
It's
near impossible.
Right.
So
well, to me, a crane is a skill machine.
It is a skill machine.
Taking out the skill if you make it where it's almost impossible to win.
Well, but Tim, I mean, doesn't she bear a little bit of responsibility for dropping $100 in this and only getting one toy or something like that? Well, maybe not. Let's debate it. Here we go, guys. Is it right for an operator to set their redemption games to be impossible to win?
All right.
Okay. Is it right, Tim?
Okay.
For an operator to set their redemption games to, or maybe near impossible. Okay. I won't say impossible. But let's say, is it right for an operator to set them to near impossible to win? So, Tim, with that said, let us do this. And we'll do a little restart here, and we'll get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the arcade debate segment for tonight. Now, Tim, we had a news story about a mom in the UK that spent £100 trying to win toys for her son and was only able to come away with one toy that was basically worth about $10 US. Okay, so obviously the crane was set to near impossible. In fact, the manager of the amusement establishment actually admitted that to this woman, that it was set to near impossible. So the question tonight in the arcade debate is it right to set redemption games to be impossible to win? So Tim, I am going to let you decide which side you want to take. Is it right to set redemption games to be impossible to win?
Well, as an operator, I better take this side that says it is not right, because there's a difference in right and illegal or legal. I don't think it's illegal, but I do think it's not right to make your game so hard, and I wouldn't want that in my arcade. But you think that the lady bears some responsibility too, so I want to get your opinion. Obviously, I do not feel like they should set it that hard.
Well, I think it's fine if an operator sets it on whatever he wants to set it with. And like you mentioned, Tim, I do think that this woman bears some responsibility with it, okay? She's the one pumping money into a machine that is near impossible to win. And she was even told that, Tim. And so that's something to keep in mind. But Tim, give me your reasons why operators should set redemption games on not impossible to win. That you should allow them to win on a regular basis.
Well, for one simple reason, that it produces fun. And you can't put a money on the fun factor. That's what's going to keep people to come back. If you make it impossible to win, word will get out. People will know. People will post on social medias, and they'll rip you apart. Pretty soon you won't have any business, because what you are, nobody will play it. So you're going to lose more plays. I will make more money by making mine somewhat possible to win, to where it's actually possible. I'm still making a lot of money. People are playing it. We're still refilling it with lots of prizes. If the goal is to make a profit, then why cut out the profit by making it impossible?
Well, but here's the thing, Tim. Like, I think it depends a lot on what kind of toys you have in the machine too. I mean, let's say you have a Keymaster with a Switch inside of it, a Nintendo Switch. What does a Nintendo Switch retail for? $300. Okay, right. $300 right now. So you have a Nintendo Switch in there, $300. You don't have to make it impossible to win, but you need to make back more than $300, right? And in most cases, you want to double at least your money. Okay, sure. Well, that means that crane or Keymaster, whatever the redemption machine is, has to make $600 before it'll pay out. That may seem like it's impossible to win, but as we all know, one kid's gonna walk up to that machine. He's gonna win that big prize, and it's gonna make a big difference in his life. He's gonna think it was the coolest thing ever. And so my argument is that maybe they are just seemingly impossible to win. Maybe you can win, but the problem is that the stuff inside is just too expensive for the operator to let go at cheap prices. What do you say?
Well, then he should drop it down to something that could be more affordable, and he could make it profitable and win. Otherwise, it's almost like you should disclaim percent odds of winning or something. It's kind of like going to Vegas. Slot machines are required by law to pay out a certain percent, and there'll also be warning signs sometimes. You know that you're gambling, and they should know that. Then it becomes such a gamble, it takes out the skill in it. And that's where I'm at. It should be a skill machine that if you're good at, you can win, but of course the operator has to make money. So it has to be set hard enough that only a really skilled player should be able to win it, and we get that. But at the same time, it can't be so hard that nobody can win. You're taking the skill out of it, and then it's just pure random luck.
Well, and here's the deal I think I have with this guy, Tim. Obviously, he had basically a $10 toy in there, and she put $100 in, and she won one, but only because they set the difficulty easier. Would she have won anything if they wouldn't set the difficulty easier? Probably not.
Probably not.
Okay, so I understand that, but you got to remember, it is the operator's right to do that.
Sure,
if the operator wants to do that, and guess what? It's your right to do. Not go back.
Right.
if you don't want to give money to a crooked operator whose redemption machines never pay out, don't give money to a crooked operator whose redemption machines never pay out. So if you go to a place and every time you play you lose, don't go there. And guess what? The operator, he'll probably change it. So my thing is let the market decide it, right? If people think that they're getting ripped off when they go to an amusement arcade, then don't go back to the amusement arcade. Okay, the operator is free to do whatever he wants to do. If he wants to set to impossible, I say he can set to impossible, and it's up to you to be discerning as to whether or not you want to spend money at that establishment. Tim, I'll give you the last word.
Well, then I should open up a place right across the street because I would get a lot of his business. I just think you're right. It's not illegal. It's just kind of dumb on the operator's part. They should make their games where they're easy enough to win at a profit. If you're doubling your money, we can sit here. If I give you $1, you give me $2. We can play that game all day long. I'll play that with anybody that wants to play it.
And you're still making money. I understand that, but there are operators who want to make more than just double or triple or whatever.
Then that's called getting greedy, and that goes beyond taking the fun factor out of it. So operators, I would advise you, keep the fun in it, make it to where you're making money. You have to make money to stay in business. Most games are set up. You're going to make money. But at the same time, don't take the fun factor out by making it so difficult.
So guys, the question is, what do you think? Is it right for operators to set redemption machines to impossible? Please let us know by responding in the comments or the questions, or the reply to us if you're watching this on Twitter or Facebook. Let us know your thoughts about it, and we'll see you for the next arcade debate. Okay, Tim. I think we're done. So obviously,
pretty interesting story though. It's almost worth a follow-up story. But yeah, it's kind of like, and I'll save some of this maybe for the live show. We were talking about the difference in the U.S. and Germany. And U.S. would say we can't build this. We were going water skiing, and I won't get too far off here, but they have a water skiing thing. Where it's not a boat that pulls you, it's like a pulley system that comes around and you grab this rope and you ski and it pulls you all around the lake. And he said, would this work great in the United States? I said, probably not, because you don't have a lifeguard every 100 feet.
Right.
Somebody would fall down there and drown, they'd sue you. He said, and so this is the difference between some countries, the United States. In the United States, we're always constantly making a law based on something somebody does. Like, for instance, there is a law in some state that says you can't take your horse into a bathroom.
Right.
Why is there a law?
Because somebody did it. Do it. Yeah.
All right. So, but instead of getting on that one person, we make a law where nobody can do it, right? In other countries, it'd be like, well, that person died. They knew the risk. They shouldn't have done it. Or if they did something stupid and died, they say, now we're smarter because we have less stupid people. That's pretty tough.
Right.
But I think that it's just a difference. Kind of like you knew the risk when you played, so it's kind of the stupid fee that you have to pay, and I just think somewhere there should be a balance.
I think you're right. So let's see what everybody says here. Let's see. Let's see. It's about to get real. He says, of course that isn't right. LOL. Unfortunately, I haven't found many fair crane machines. It's not right. Tim, everybody's with you. Oh, AOC wants crane machines to spit out dumbbells like confetti. Come on now, Jason. Okay, Danny says, isn't right, but trying to make money, but want them to come back should put the right prizes in, though. It's operators' right to figure out when they don't make as much money. Seahorses, Seahorses at Night says, woohoo, love the show, finally catching it again. Thanks for being back here. YouTube Punk, I went to Malibu Castle on last day of operation. I played the skill crane, the claw drop, but never closed. And that's more of a technical thing.
Yeah.
That was probably the crane not working then.
Use a magnet.
So, exactly. Gave me a great laugh. Danny said, it should be about the fun factor part, makes customers happy. When the robots come, I hope they make you guys leaders. There you go.
Well, it's like I enjoy when I see kids coming out of the arcade. One thing that we have is a big claw machine that gives away these great big 18-inch dimple balls. And you see kids bouncing it. When they come out and the other kids that haven't went over there to play yet see these prizes and they got a stuffed toy and something, they don't know that, yeah, they spent $30, but they got something they're taking home with them. It makes the other kids want to go and play. Like I said, I like to have that fun factor. I want kids. I don't want them to go home empty-handed.
So I should say that me and Tim actually have the same philosophy on this. We both believe that you should win when you go to a place with redemption, but we also believe in making a profit. Really, if you're making over about 3 or 4 times what the items are that you're giving away, if you're making more than 4 times...
Yeah, then you're just being greedy.
Exactly.
And you're not really... the demand is not going to be as high.
Right, exactly.
So you're hurting yourself.
Right, you're hurting yourself. If people can't win, they're not going to play. And that's what I'd encourage you. If you go to a place and you can't win, don't play.
I make a lot more money by making it fun and people continually wanting to play, and I can prove it on paper.
Oh yeah. So, and I think that's the difference. So when people come to your place, they want to win. Let them win. It will cost you a little bit in prizes and stuff, but like Tim mentioned, when people see other people winning, guess what they want to do? Win.
Right.
So they'll spend money to win. And so
I'd rather charge more per play and make it easier to win if I had to do it that way to make my profit.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think that's what it really comes down to is making sure that it's like Tim mentioned, fair. And I do think that having the odds on the crane should be a requirement. I mean, I hate to say that.
If you're just going to make it too tough,
right,
then odds are you're going to lose 90% of the time.
And maybe the way to say that in the law is to say if your prize is above a certain amount, a certain value, you have to post what the odds are of you winning it.
That's not a bad idea.
So if you got a Nintendo Switch in there,
odds of winning Nintendo Switch
1 out of 3,500 or whatever it is. It's like we're telling you up front, it's hard.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know when you go to Vegas, Tim, they're required to post the odds.
Right.
Okay, and this is the same kind of thing. I think in a lot of places, you really want to see those odds if it's something high dollar. Now for like a little stuffed animal, I don't care.
No, I don't care either.
But for high dollar prizes, I think it should be a requirement. And Danny says, I agree, a lot of greed nowadays. And there are operators who will just set them on impossible and, leave them like that.
Right.
Look, if you're an operator that's lazy and you have crane machines out on location, guess what happens if you're giving away prizes all the time? You got to
refill them. So.
Exactly. And so, if it's hard, then, you're not refilling them as much and you're making money. So I understand that to a certain extent. But
if you're going to make it hard, then, like you said, the harder it is, the better the prize should be.
Exactly. So, absolutely. So, Gohira says, I would rather pay more to have a higher chance of winning. Sounds like a better alternative than making it impossible. Exactly. So, if you got a Switch in there, make it $10 a play.
Right.
And I know $10 a play sounds high, but then you only have to play it 30 times to make back your money. 30 plays makes back your money, which means that you could give it away every 60 or 90 plays instead of every 350 or whatever the case is. So, exactly. So, I mean, you may not like paying the higher amount to play it, but it will increase your odds to do that, if that makes sense. So, I think it's an interesting topic. I really do. So, I mean, but me and Tim are very much in agreement on this typically, that we want to see people win. Okay, Tim, let's talk about some of the recently announced Stern pinball machines. We have the Star Wars home pin and the new Jurassic Park pinball. I know we were talking about the Data East one earlier, which is kind of an earlier take on that. But they are releasing a new Jurassic Park pinball machine and a Star Wars home pin, which is, Tim, just like it says, for home.
Right.
And so the Star Wars home pin is for home use, so it's missing coin mechs, has a smaller display than the commercial models, and features a list price of $4,500.
Okay.
Tim, what do you think about that list price? Just curious.
Compared to what a new one is,
so a new one is what,
it still
6,
sounds
000?
high, but I think it's probably about where it should be.
If you find the right distributor, though, you can.
High,
I was about to say, if you find the right distributor for a pro model, you can get it close to that.
Wow.
So I mean, you can.
Okay.
The Jurassic Park IGN article, which Tim Stern has teamed up with IGN on several of these pinball releases, but it's actually somewhat critical of the game, mentioning that it's missing movie clips and sounds, which is surprising given their past relationship with Stern. So it was actually a little critical. Tim, they basically got one actor from the original movie to do all the call-outs and everything.
Okay.
And it was, I forget who it was. But, I mean, it wasn't one of the main characters. It wasn't Jeff Goldblum or anybody. So, and I don't know if they couldn't use clips from the movie. It's all custom animations. And none of the, I don't think there's any movie clips, audio clips either.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, well, if you couldn't do all that, why do Jurassic Park?
I don't know why. Yeah.
Maybe Jurassic World would have been better. I don't know.
I don't know either. That one, the Star Wars one, I'm more on board with than that one.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Sales will tell. I don't know who out there is going, I can't wait to buy this pin. I don't know.
It looks cool. It's got a little T-Rex on the playfield, and he releases balls. He spits them out at you and stuff like that, and it's got some cool things on it. It doesn't have the Jurassic Park Jeep though. They had to make a custom, the Stern design team, George Gomez in particular, had to make a custom vehicle that didn't look anything like the Jeep, and they just called it something generic. Yeah. So it's like generic Jurassic Park. You could have just made Dino Game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And why didn't you just make that?
Exactly. It would have been cheaper, and you wouldn't have to worry about licensing.
Well, I think so.
Because I mean, it's not like T-Rexes are copyrighted or anything.
Right.
You know. But anyway. So I mean, if it sells well, who cares, right?
Right.
I mean, it's Jurassic Park. People love Jurassic Park, so I mean, maybe it'll sell fine. I don't know.
We'll see.
It just seems like it's missing a lot of things that you'd expect from a movie licensed game. If that makes sense. So, and Gohira says $4,500 sounds like a lot for a home machine, but then again, I'm not rich. And guys, pinball machines are expensive. They really are. Yeah. But like I said, you can get a pro model for close to that if you look around.
Okay.
Find the right distributor, you can get it for close to that.
Excuse me.
So, but anyway, so those will be coming to a arcade near you maybe sometime soon.
Maybe soon.
So there you go. Tim, we also had this news about the Hallmark Keepsake for this year is the Defender.
Nice.
So last year we had Donkey Kong, right? This year we had Defender with lights and sounds, and you can order it, Tim, from Hallmark or on Amazon. We have the Amazon link right there as well. But throwback to fun times at the video arcade with this Hallmark Keepsake Defender arcade game Christmas ornament. The console lights up, plays classic sounds from the game, press the player buttons to see the game illuminate and hear the unforgettable sounds of timeless arcade classics. The ornament is currently priced at $22.99 on Hallmark's website, and you should buy it now because they'll run out and you won't be able to get it.
Right.
So
price will go up.
Exactly. So go to Amazon, which I think has it maybe $1 cheaper. If you go to the Amazon site, and we can show that. But go ahead and pick it up because if you want it, you need to get it now because if you wait till Christmas, it'll be gone.
Probably so.
This is always what happens, so just trust us. It is what it is. So, but it's very cool, Tim. I have the Pac-Man one and the Donkey Kong one like this. I did not get the Galaga one. I wish I had that one. But I do have those two, and I am looking forward to getting the Defender as well. So make sure you order it. Like I said, Hallmark, Amazon. Hallmark stores, Tim, carry them as well.
Okay.
So if you have a local one, too, you can go there. And then, Tim, I thought this was interesting. Well, before I go on here, Danny says, like pinballs, but just too expensive. I could own a lot of arcades with that money. Exactly correct. Didn't they do the same thing with Spider-Man pin? Jason says, wonder how those sales went. They did. They did make a Spider-Man pin, and I don't know how the sales were for that one. That's a good question. Stern is a privately held company, and they don't have to release sales data.
No.
And speaking of privately held companies, Tim, did you hear that Chuck E. Cheese is not going public?
It's going to stay privately held.
Correct. There was talk that they were going to go public, but they are going to stay private. And Tim, with that in mind, we have some Chuck E. Cheese news here that I thought you'd find funny.
Yes.
Chuck E. Cheese compares fake currency Bitcoin to prize tokens, setting up a Twitter feud between the mascot and furious crypto fans. Product Hunt founder Ryan Hoover tweeted, Chuck E. Cheese tokens are cool, but I'd rather earn Bitcoin, along with a link to a page for Satoshi's Games, a platform which you can earn Bitcoin by playing games. Pretty neat.
Okay.
Chuck E. Cheese did not take, Chuck E. Cheese did not take the insult lightly. To each his own fake currency, the mascot's Twitter account responded, basically calling Bitcoin a fake currency.
Right.
Now, here's
in other words, it's just as real as a Chuck E. Cheese coin.
Exactly. Well, except a Bitcoin is worth a whole lot more than a Chuck E. Cheese token.
I'll trade you some Chuck E. tokens
That's
for
right,
some Bitcoins.
That's right, exactly. So I just thought it was interesting the mascot's Twitter account decided to insult Bitcoin like that.
Yeah.
So almost like they didn't know what Bitcoin was, maybe?
Right.
I have no idea. But anyway, we all know Bitcoin is worth quite a bit right now. Tim, I don't know what the price is. Would you like to...
$10,227 as of 5 o'clock.
There you go, $10,227. So one Bitcoin is $10,000. One Chuck E. Cheese token is 14 cents.
Yeah, there you go.
is that about right?
Yeah.
With token discounts, right?
It's 33 cents now. You only get $3-4.
Oh, I forgot about that. 33 cents. Oh, that makes it so much better on the conversion factor, though.
Right.
So 33 cents for a Chuck E. Cheese token, or $10,000 for a Bitcoin.
I'll trade you some Chuck E. Cheese tokens for Bitcoin.
There you go. So Chuck E. Cheese always keeping it real, Tim. Always. So where a kid can be a kid and apparently can ignore cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
So there you go. Okay, let's see what else we have here before we wrap it up here, Tim. Let's see. Jason says he's got the Defender ornament. It's very cool.
Okay.
The Donkey Kong one is slightly larger, though, which is interesting. So I have the Donkey Kong one. It's really nice. The Donkey Kong one is
That's interesting.
great.
Putting them side by side, they would be larger.
Absolutely. So, okay, well, I think that'll wrap it up.
Okay.
Yes, so let's go ahead and go to our reminder here that we want your arcade-related videos. If you want some free advertising for your YouTube channel, we're looking for people to submit short videos, 10 minutes or less, about arcade-related topics. send a link of your video to questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Our staff will review it. If we like it, we'll use it during one of our live show episodes. Make sure you put a plug-in for your channel so people will know where to find you. We look forward to seeing your submissions. And Tim, we've actually had quite a few people take advantage of that. Not recently so much, but in the past. So if you want to get some advertisement for your channel, send us a nice little video of yours and we'll put it on the live show at some point, either at the beginning or the end or the middle or sometime, and we'll help promote your channel for you. Then here we go right here, Tim, to our contact information. We have our general email address at questions@arcaderepairtips.com, questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Put live show in the subject. It will be mentioned on the show if you do that. We also have our YouTube page, which you're on currently, but if you ever need to get to it again, youtube.arcaderepairtips.com. Comments from the last show will be covered on the next episode. And Tim, we had a couple of those tonight.
Yep.
So obviously, if you leave comments on the last show, we will cover them on the next one. Our podcast email is podcast@arcaderepairtips.com. And Tim, Eric, and Rusty have officially opened the new game preserve location.
Yeah, and it looks awesome.
And it does look awesome. So hopefully at some point they'll be coming back to host the Q&A podcast. But if you want them to come back, please shoot them an email at podcast@arcaderepairtips.com and tell them how much you miss them.
Yeah.
So they know it. But you can also subscribe to the podcast feed at itunes.arcaderepairtips.com and stitcher.arcaderepairtips.com. Tim, we are also on Spotify, but I don't have a link for that. So if you're on Spotify, you can look up Arcade Repair Tips Question and Answer Podcast, and you will find us on Spotify as well.
I didn't even know.
We're on Spotify.
Wow.
You know now. So, but we are on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify. Right now, guys, we're posting the audio from the live show on those feeds. But once Eric and Rusty get back to doing shows, their audio will be there as well. And then we have our social media pages. We have our Facebook page at facebook.arcaderepairtips.com, where Louie and Mark do a fantastic job posting stories that you guys find interesting. And, of course, all of those same stories get cross-posted to our Twitter feed at twitter.arcaderepairtips.com, twitter.arcaderepairtips.com. And you can send us questions on either platform, and we will be happy to get around to them when we can. Tim, are we done with the regular show?
I think so.
So are we going to get like photo slides from your vacation?
We are.
So if you're interested in watching Tim's photo slides from his vacation, then you can stay tuned to the after show where Tim will take you one by one. He'll be like, click, click. This is what I saw at this place. Click, click.
I narrowed it down from hundreds to just a few that I have some stories and interesting thing. Special interest to talk about.
So if you like hanging around with your parents and seeing all the vacation slides, you should stay tuned to the after show because that's what we're going to do. Nah, I'm just giving Tim a hard time. Actually, some of the pictures he had are pretty cool, and you will want to see them. Stay tuned for that. We'll also be talking about, what else we're going to be talking about? I have no idea. Did you get to see some movies on the plane? Some other things?
Did get to see some movies.
So we'll be talking about some movies, some TV shows that we've been watching. Update on our investment talk. I'll talk a little bit about my vacation as well. Tim will update you on the food trailer that we revealed on the last show.
Yes.
But didn't show pictures of. We have pictures now.
Okay.
We'll be talking a little bit about Prime Day for anybody who bought stuff on Prime Day. Just kind of curious what you bought. And sports stock, MLB trade deadline, and of course NFL training camp starting up. So if you want to listen to that, and if you're listening to this on the audio feed and you want to listen to the after show, please go to YouTube and check that out. Otherwise, if you're on YouTube and you're watching this right now, just stay tuned until after we close here and we'll scoot you right into the after show. Right, Tim?
We'll be right back.
There you go. So now we have a couple of things here. Trivia questions. What animal was the Chuck E. Cheese mascot supposed to be before he was a mouse?
Wile E.
Coyote, right?
Coyote.
Yeah, I was about to say. I think it was a coyote. YouTube Punk said shark. Danny says, great show, guys. Even though you're tired, always enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you.
I think it's better when we're tired.
I am tired.
Yeah, it's almost like
it's almost
like we've been knocking back a few, right?
Yeah, maybe
this is
so.
This is as close to that as we ever get. Did Tim see any arcades? You'll have to wait till the after show.
Yeah.
Let's see. Seahorses Seahorses Al Knight says, I think it was a fox, but I can't remember. I was hoping Tim would know. I'm pretty sure it's coyote.
Yeah, coyote is what I would say.
So Astros are the team to beat. We'll talk about that in the after show too, Louie. So there we go. So guys, thank you guys for watching tonight. I know it was a little bit of an abbreviated show, Tim, but like I said, we're tired. So, but we got all the questions in there, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We will be back next month for another Arcade Repair Tips Live Show, episode 31. And if you are so inclined, stay tuned to the after show to see Tim's vacation slides. And remember, here at Arcade Repair Tips, when you fix the game, you play the game. And we'll be right back with the after show. If you're taking off here, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next month.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Arcade Repair Tips live show. All of our past episodes are available on our website at arcaderepairtips.com or on our YouTube page. This show is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please consult a professional before attempting to repair any coin-operated machines yourself. The preceding program is a Varcade Entertainment production.
Okay, guys, we're back for the after show. I don't know how long this is going to be because we're tired.
Right.
But we do have an after show, and Tim, like I said, we are going to talk about some vacation stuff. But Tim, real quick update: how's our $10 doing that YouTube Punt gave us?
$13.25. You know, we went up to $23, and then went
Should've
down.
cashed out.
Yeah. So we're still holding. We're positive, but the market is as a whole has been kind of down lately.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. But guys, timing the market is tough, and so like knowing when to hold them, when to fold them, when to run,
Right.
walk away, when to run, that's really difficult. So, but hey, we're still making money. That's
Right.
what matters. So, Tim, let's get into what do you want to talk about first? I'll open it up to you.
Vacation is fine. As many of you know, I took my first ever out of the trip.
Out of the country
trip. Well, I've been to the Bahamas one time.
Okay.
I had to buy a passport. You know, a lot of things, had to go through customs, stuff that I've never had to do. But we saw last year we had a foreign exchange student from Germany who stayed with us, and we become very good friends with him. And of course, later on, his parents, they come to U.S. for 3 weeks. We got to know them. They're our age, just hit it off really well. And we went to saw them. So we stayed at a hotel nearby that a friend of his owns. And then our son stayed with them, and every day they took us, toured us, and these are just some of the things from our vacation that I thought would be interesting. They talked a lot about bowling, and anyway, we were at a very nice, kind of a fancy restaurant the last night, and they said, "Would you like to see the bowling alley?" And I'm looking around the street, and I'm not seeing anything resemble a bowling alley. I said, "Where's it at?" And they said, "Downstairs, in the basement." And they took me down there, and this is what they showed me. This is what they call bowling. If you'll notice, all the bowls on the right are different sizes, and they don't have any holes in them, and they're small balls like we see in some of our arcade games. And then if you'll notice, the pins are way in the back, and they're just kind of dangling by a string. So the goal is you can't pass that line, but you have to roll that small bowl, and you get different points for different color balls. So it's a very different, similar, yeah, you got to knock the pins down. And I thought that was one of the only arcade games. Somebody said, "Did you see any arcade games?" I saw some kiddie rides, some photo booths, and this. This was that was it. I looked, and there just weren't anything. You might notice on the right it says home of the Longhorns. This is the Langfield Longhorns, who they play football. So you don't have like a football league. It's more like your town might have one team, and it might have youth.
So when you're saying
college
football, do you
football,
mean
American football.
American football?
When you normally say football over
soccer.
there, you're talking about soccer. But it is interesting. This is why Arn came to the United States to learn about American football. He is the quarterback of that team right there. You also notice, Jonathan, you're a Texas Longhorn fan. It's the Longhorn from that. They could not use the orange color though, so they used purple. So these are the purple Longhorns. I thought some of you guys might find that interesting. We'll go on to the next slides.
Next slide. I see you're doing it.
I
like the little
car,
tiny car there.
Yeah, this is one thing we noticed was how all the cars were a lot smaller. This one in particular was at a church. That's actually the church's kind of gift shop and fellowship hall. And there was a couple getting married, and that was their getaway car. And I was asking them, could I take a picture real quick? Just thought that kind of car was very small.
So are they like a foot shorter than you?
No, they actually got. They were.
You can get in that.
The guy was about my height, a little smaller around the waist, but he was about.
So if you get in the Autobahn on that thing and you hit something, like it just disintegrates, right?
Well, we have a funny joke. I'll tell the joke. I think a German word that's funny to me, it almost sounds Oriental, Jonathan, is Eichenchin.
Okay.
That does not sound German, doesn't have a or
right.
nothing.
No umlaut.
Eichenchin is a squirrel. And so I one time saw a smart car that looked like it got totally destroyed, and they said, what happened? I said, well, it hit a squirrel. And they thought that was funny, so they have a lot of smart cars over there, so I said, watch out for the squirrels so they won't tear apart. I don't know, I saw a couple of accidents when I was over there, but all the other cars hitting you are small, so I guess unless if you don't get, in Texas, the biggest truck wins.
I was about to say, I have a Tahoe, Tim, and my Tahoe could run over that thing, literally.
I could literally pick the front end of that car up. So the next one is Germans do like their beer. I would say if you are anywhere struggling to be an alcoholic, don't go to Germany. They will make you drink a lot of beer. That is not a typical U.S. keg. That is a 10-liter keg. And I will tell you privately how much they talked me into consuming.
Okay, you're talking to me there.
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
I did not know that you could consume that much. But anyway, over a given period of time, they drink a lot of beer. Like, it's breakfast, let's have a beer. Oh, it's lunch, let's have it. Would you like some beer? And
my Uncle Paul was like that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I would weigh 400 pounds if I lived there anytime, but all just from the calories alone. But the funny story is the next one. The word toilet. Okay, and you could probably guess that. Inside of there is a very old hallway that leads to two doors. Had it not been for a picture of a man and woman, we talked about this a little bit earlier. I have two stories about toilets. One is if I feel sorry for people that come to the United States that don't speak English very well, because we're bad about this. Let's say there's a lot of words that you could use for men and women. You could say men, women. You could say ladies, gentlemen. You could say guys, gals, cowboys, cowgirls. You've all seen this. Now that I'm saying that, you're thinking of, oh, there's many ways. Well, imagine if there's no picture, you don't know. So this one fortunately had a picture, and I did not say, but it had pictures. And I noticed that an older gentleman in front of me was about to go into the women's restroom. So my thought was, you ever have a lot of thoughts in a split second? Mm-hmm. And I thought, I don't know much German, but I know that Fräulein is female. Freu, F-R-U-E. I'm probably not pronouncing it right, but Fräulein is female. So all I could say was, Nein, Fräulein, nein, Fräulein. In other words, no, it's the girls. You're going in the girls. So the guy stops, looks at it, turns around, is red in the face. Oh, Donka, Donka, Donka. He says, so thank you, thank you, thank you. I stopped him from going in the girls. Well, I didn't think much about it. We go in the men's room. He goes in first, and I'm right behind him. And I'm sitting in one stall, he's sitting in another stall. Well, he begins to converse with me because he thinks obvious I must know German. And I'm picking up about every fifth letter, how he was embarrassed. He wants to know where I'm from, how nice to meet you, all this stuff. And I have to tell him, look, I'm American on a holiday or vacation, and I don't know much German, although I really tried to learn and practice. I don't really know enough to have a conversation with you. I'm sorry, I speak English. And I'm expecting him to not even understand my broken German trying to translate that I can't talk much German, was what I was trying to tell him. He laughed. He said, oh, you speak English? I said, yeah. He goes, well, I'm glad you know the word for woman. He said, you may not know much German, but thank God you knew the word for German. I mean, for woman. So that was funny instance number 2. The other one goes back to the sign. Then right after that, we went to another place to eat, and I had to go to the restroom. And I went, and all I saw was the letters in very small letters. One was D, and one was H. Which one would you have chose?
D and H?
D
I
and
have
H.
no idea.
And I thought, well, you can almost see in there, and I didn't see any urinals.
That makes a difference.
I thought, well, I'll wait here a second. Somebody will come out. It's a pretty busy restaurant.
Right.
I'll just play like I'm looking at something right here. And after about 3 minutes, I realized there was nobody in there, or nobody was coming out. And so then I went with do I take the 50-50 chance? And that didn't seem like a good idea. So the only thing I could think was like from a gangster movie where they would call them dames. And I'm like, for some reason, I think D, and it was, is Doms, is woman. And H is like Herren or something. Herren is him, he is what I was thinking. Right. And I would not have been right, but I could not. I was really about to go to the bathroom in my pants. I was sitting there holding it. About that time, fortunately, my friend Andy was like, is everything okay? I said, no, I don't know which one to go in. He was like, well, you go in H. And I was like, well, thanks for telling me, like I would just know this. So if you work at a restaurant, you don't have pictures in there, that might help other foreigners that are traveling to your country. So put a picture. And then
next slide.
Right, in these days, you not even know if a picture. So whatever we'll say about that. This is a famous bridge that was there. You could see that. At first, when I saw it from a distance, it looked like cans or something, or some kind of trash was all in this fence. But when you get close, you'll notice that those are padlocks. And so Aaron had got me and Dawn, one on the right, says Dawn and Tim love 2019. We put a padlock on there, and then we took the key and we threw it in the Rhine River. So in other words, to break our love, we'd have to jump in the Rhine, find our key, and bring it back. And
or just get a pair of bolt cutters.
Yeah, maybe. So, if you've ever seen this as a lot of people have heard of this, and I'd never heard of it. So that was kind of a cool surprise of the locks on the Rhine River.
Okay. Food?
This is food. Now, every morning, and I really don't want to offend anybody, just what you're used to, right? Every morning on the right, you'll see this is a breakfast. This is a typical German breakfast with bread. What looks like cold cuts and cheese and bread. And like what we would typically, I'm like, give me some lettuce and tomato and we'll have a sandwich and we'd be done. So I ate that and it was good. It's very good, but just so strange for breakfast. So I told them, I'm not used to this breakfast. Maybe I could try, what else do you have for breakfast? And that is when they served me the one on the left. The one on the left, if you do not know what that is, it is what it looks like. That is raw meat on a bun with some onions on it.
Wow.
Like a raw hamburger patty on a bun. And to me, that looks like E. coli and worms in my stomach. What did it? I actually ate it because I wanted to participate and eat what they ate. I drew my line after this one, and one more food that I'll talk about. My wife did eat a couple bites, and I think that was all she wanted. I had to finish mine and hers, so thank you very much, Dawn, for making me eat 1.5 of these. Now, if you like that and that is your typical breakfast, I'm not trying to offend. That is just for you. For those of you who are here in the United States, you would know that is not the typical breakfast. Now, what we see in the middle, so they said, okay, what would you really like? And I said, I would really like some pancakes. Oh, great, we have pancakes. We have American pancakes. Okay, show me. I'm sitting down, throw me the butter and the syrup, and we'll go to town. We go to a bread store, a bakery, and there they are, sure enough, well-cooked, big, round, thick, fluffy American pancakes. They've been there about 4 hours. You pick one up, and you bite into it, and you eat it.
All right.
Like it's toast. No syrup, no butter, no nothing. I'm like, you're still missing it. This is not quite.
That's how my kids eat them.
Yeah.
I understand.
Right. It's like, let go of my ego time.
Right.
So they said, well, do you like waffles? And I said, yes, I do like waffles. So instead of breakfast, this was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. After I got out of the restroom, we went.
Dinner.
Dinner. We went to, and that is the best waffle I've ever had in my whole life. Fresh cherries. Up in the top right is ice cream. It tasted like Bluebell ice cream nobody had licked on. And that was I'm like, okay, now you have found my breakfast happy spot. You can serve me this every morning. But again, they went back to the cold cut. So not knocking anything, just wanted to show some people some differences. If you never travel outside of the country, when you do, be aware that you probably are going to eat some things. Where did I draw the line? I thought I saw a guy chopping up some ribeye steaks, and I thought, well, that would be great. We could just take some steaks home and cook them one night instead of spending money out to eat. He says, I'm surprised you would eat that. I'm like, why? You know I like steak. I eat steak all the time. Steak's one of my favorite things. He said, well, that's not cow. That is horse. And so I did draw the line. I didn't try it. Didn't want any horse or blood.
There's a very famous MMA fighter that said he got really large from eating horse meat.
Well, there's people that eat it, evidently.
I think he ate horse meat with steroids, but that was just me.
Maybe the horse already had the steroids?
Maybe they injected it in the horse. I have no idea. But it's not unheard of. That's all I'm saying.
So I drew the line at horse, but and it's just the differences. I'm sure there's stuff that we eat that they probably would not want to eat. But I do like to try new foods and stuff, but guys, just be aware of the culture when you go. There's definitely probably different, and just like it was probably different for Arn to come here and eat scrambled eggs and bacon.
Sure.
When you're used to that. So now we kind of know what to get ready for him. We're just going to take him to Subway and say, eat breakfast.
There you go.
But okay.
Subway has a good breakfast.
They do. Well, all right, so...
not sponsored by Subway.
No, not sponsored.
There we go. Last photos.
This is what Cologne is famous for, is a monstrous church. If you guys can look down and see that those are people down there, see how tiny they are. That is about 150, 160 feet up in the air, 15, 16 stories.
I can probably make that a little bit larger down there at the bottom. Let's see real quick.
This is,
here we go.
It's just hard to show
right
how
there.
big
so
that
the people are like right there. Is that good?
Cathedral
right there.
is, yeah.
Okay.
That's just how big this cathedral is. It's hard to put into perspective. They call it a dome. This is the dome there in Cologne, the Cologne Dome, you would call it. If you ever get a chance, it almost could be one of the 8 wonders of the world. It is fascinating, all the architecture and stuff. I just wanted to show this. If you've never seen that, and we got a special tour and got to go up inside of there and take some pictures from the top of there, looking out over the Rhine. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Survived the Second World War, although it was hit, I think, 17 times by different bombs. And busted most of the stained glass and a lot of things. The cathedral did not stand. It's a symbol of the Cologne people and how tough they are. And it took over 600 years to build that church, but they finished it. They're like, it took us a while, but we finished it. They're very proud of it, as they should be. If you ever want to take a pilgrimage or go I would say, I'm not a Catholic, but if I was Catholic, they say that this is second only to the Vatican in some of the artifacts and things that they have there. The church is built around the three magi that supposedly the wise men in the Bible that we know in the Christmas story, their bones are supposedly in this church, and that is where their final burial place is and has been for over 1,000 years. And so if you're ever in Cologne, you have to see the dome. You can't help but miss it. You can see it from about 30 miles because it's so tall and so big. But it is fantastic, all the architecture and the work. And just very interesting stories and stuff. They're very proud of it, and they should be. They said they're proud of three things. They're proud of their Kolsch, which is their beer that specifically you can buy Kolsch beer, but they would say it's fake Kolsch beer because only true Kolsch beer can see the dome and brew their beer. It's interesting, Jonathan, for us Christians to go to the bar church, which is right next door.
Bar church.
You know, or the church on the bar by the church.
Right.
You know, and so you can go there and see that. So they're very proud of the dome. They're very proud of their beer, and they're very proud of their football team, which but evidently is not very good. I was asked, we were telling some jokes.
So it's kind of like me and our baseball team.
Yeah, and as of late, for sure.
Yes, exactly.
The Bad News Rangers up there. But I asked him, I said, well, tell me, how good is your football, meaning soccer team? And they laughed. They said a lot in German. They said, we have to find an English translation for this. So they are Googling, and they're trying to, no. And finally he says, I think Tim will understand this. They said that their team could not beat their Special Olympics team.
Oh, there
and
you go.
so that was a joke that they told about their own
Here, I want to bring it back to the
team.
camera because we're done with your photos, right?
Yeah, we're done with the photos. There's a lot more that I probably could show, but just a fantastic trip overall.
No, you had a joke.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us the joke.
So the joke was if you could
I told him not to tell me
if
until
you
now.
could make them laugh, that you would
Free round of
get a
beers.
free round of beers or something. So I tried to come up with a joke I thought Europeans would like or understand that would be funny to them, but something that I could translate very well. So the joke went like this, and if you don't know, if you're not European, it may not be as funny. But we call this singer, we call him Bono. They like to call him Bono. Bono and The Edge. Another band member. Okay. Bono and The Edge walk into a bar. And the bartender looks at him and says, "Aye, not you two." Anyway.
Ha, ha, ha. I give you the courtesy laugh.
So, evidently the bartender had to think about it a minute. Then he said he thought it was funny. So, got a free round of Kolsch. But we had a good time. It was definitely a learning experience, just the culture differences. There were things, like I said, food that I would eat, food that I wouldn't eat. But, they would say the same about us, but people are still the same. There was stuff that, one of the funniest words that I've learned is what they would say for teenagers as a puppeteer. Like if you say, teenagers, you'll know this, John, when they get older and they think they know it all and they'll roll their eyes, "Oh, Mom," and all this stuff, and they'll say, "Don't be a puppeteer." And I could translate that. The first word, poop, sounds like something. Just don't be a little blank.
Yeah. I think we got it. I think I got it.
Okay, so puppeteer is my fun word. So now I say it all the time when I work. All puppeteers, they're being teenagers. But so we learned a lot of words. We did eat a lot of excellent food. Food that was very strange, but also very good. But then we saw a lot of people are just people. The problem was it was so hot there that they were having record temperatures. It was 40 degrees. That doesn't sound like much, does it?
Celsius.
40 is Celsius, which is
like 100.
Which is 100.
Yeah, I can do that math.
They're like, it's 40 degrees. And I'm like, hey, it sounds like it's cold, but it was 104 degrees one day.
Don't you feel like Celsius doesn't use the whole scale? I'm just saying.
You know
what I'm saying? Like, I understand, like, it's metric and more accurate and all
what
that
I
kind of
asked
stuff,
him, wasn't Fahrenheit German?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm like, doesn't that sound like a German word?
You know,
And
I remember learning about it in school. I just remember it was a scientist that put a thermometer like in the ground, and he called that 0, and then he put the thermometer in his wife's mouth, and it read 100, and that's how Fahrenheit came to be.
Oh wow!
So apparently she was running a fever.
Okay.
But I mean, I forget the scientist who did that, but I remember.
Well,
learning
I
that.
always thought Fahrenheit sounded German. I'm like, why don't y'all use the Fahrenheit scale? You know,
Right.
but one thing that we
Celsius, of course, is based on a boiling point of water.
another thing that we've talked about before. People talk about a one world currency and stuff. Before they ever come out with that, they need a one world electrical plug. That was different.
You didn't get the adapter?
Well, yeah, I got the adapted, blew 2 of them.
Hey, you know, you've got to have a brick that's compatible with the DC voltage change.
Yeah, it's well. Another thing is that the amps matter, and
Correct.
a hairdryer will take just about everything out.
Yes.
So we learned this. Also, I'm like, shouldn't the country that discovered electricity be able to dictate how everybody else plugs their electricity in? I don't know. I'm just saying.
Are they 220?
Yeah, 220.
Okay.
Very in the 2 prongs, very different. So having to adjust to that. So beware if you do travel that even in Mexico, I've heard now they have a lot of Japanese style plugs, and that's weird. Most of them look like our plugs, but also how you're going to have to convert and do all that. That was fun. So a lot of challenges. But overall, great trip. Plane rides weren't too bad. They fed us great. We flew Lufthansa, and the food was good. They fed us 2 meals, lots of snacks, all the beer and drinks you want. It's kind of different, you know. So we had a good trip overall. Just a week was really 2 days, 2 out of 7 days of nothing but travel. It's very tiring, but I hoped to see more arcades, and I thought I'll get some pictures of some German arcades and some German words and arcades, and I just couldn't find them. The city of 1 million people, there just weren't very many arcades left around.
I saw more arcades than you then.
Yeah, way more.
We went to a place that had the same setup that you guys have at Mr. Gates for the most part. What's the company that does your card system?
Embed.
Embed. It was an Embed setup.
Embed setup.
So it was totally Embed, almost very similar games to what you guys had. I mean, I don't think there's anything you guys have that they didn't have. But I mentioned to you that I played Iceman, that you guys have Iceman, and I had not played it at your place.
It's very fun.
Because it's not a game that looks like something I would play, I guess. But my daughter climbed in it, and we played it, and it shoots water at the screen, which is crazy. And we played that. That was fun. But they had the same Embed type setup that y'all have. And it was, and they had the cards that were customized, and I have the card if you want to see it. But, but yeah, they had the same kind of setup that you had for the most part, which I thought was cool. And they had some arcades on the beach and stuff like that. It was fun. We had a good time. I'm not going to get into my trip much because it was the beach, and that's where we did most of the time. So, but it was good to go on vacation. I liked it. Yeah,
most of the time we were doing stuff and going, which is just a different world. But I like that. I like to learn new things. I did come back, Jonathan, with, in fact, my wife asked me tomorrow night, can we go out on a date European style? And I knew what she meant. Every time we went out to eat, it was about a 2-hour deal. You sit down, you might talk 15, 20 minutes before they ever come get a drink order. Then they get your drinks, and you may wait another 15, 20 minutes, and then they order your food. You take your time, you're eating. You don't see anybody hardly with their cell phones at the table. They'll be very rude and impolite. And then when you get done, here it's like check, check, check. And there it was like you might set another 20, 30 minutes. I'm literally about a 2-hour
So what's the wait time to get into the restaurant?
There was hardly any wait time on any place. There was a lot of places to eat.
Oh, okay.
You didn't see that. Yeah,
everywhere
here it's
I went,
let's flip it and go and hurry.
Everywhere I went had at least an hour wait on my vacation.
Right, because you're in America and
we're in a tourist place.
Yeah,
right,
tourism.
exactly. We're in a tourist place. And so everybody wants to eat at the well-known places. Every single one of those had at least an hour wait.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the thing is that they're trying to turn tables. Though,
right.
You know what I'm saying? To get people in.
And we're also accustomed to tipping them on their service. You don't tip about half as much, or you just kind of round up a little. They don't expect a big tip. I did kind of tip American style because some of our waiters and waitresses, we were at their table for 2 hours and they were very polite,
right,
or really went into detail or gave us some free stuff. For an example, I saw a coaster that, it said something cool. It said Prost, which is how they say toast. They say Prost. And so I've had to learn you always look the person in the eye and you say Prost when you do a drink. And it said Prost on the coaster. So I said, can I have this and take it home? And the guy said, no, it's dirty. And I thought I was like, okay, I don't care if it's dirty. I wanted the one that I had. And he come back and he says, no, I'm kidding. I don't want you to have a dirty one. He gave me a whole stack in a wrapper of about 100 of them. He said, take these home and give them to friends.
Wow.
So it was, instead of, don't take the dirty one, let me get you some clean ones. So, of course, I wanted to tip more, and it's, no, you don't have to. And I'm like, no, it's fine. I'm so used to American tipping like we do based on service, and all the service was great. My friends warned us about 6 months ago that Germans can be very direct, and they say things like, for instance, you go into one of the breweries and you say, can I have a glass of water? And the guy might say, why? You need some soap? Are you dirty? You want to bathe? Mm-hmm. Drink a beer, know? And so, not time to drink water. This is a beer house. Drink beer. So, but this time, nobody said anything like that. They were super nice. And she said, well, something has changed over the last 6 months. You know what it is? Reviews.
Yeah.
Google and Yelp and places like
Makes
that
a difference.
have been saying things like, not very friendly here, not there. And you notice, she said, we have become more Americanized with, how are you doing? How's your food? She said, this is new to us.
Right.
And so maybe a good thing, maybe a good trend is happening there.
So we got a question from Jay Hall, which Louis answered, but probably something you can go in more detail on.
Okay.
Let's see. He says, I'm going to take a test to become an arcade technician, but I only have basic electrical knowledge, installing outlets, etc. Is this enough to pass? This would be a dream job for me. Definitely can work a meter and solder. My phone interview went well. Next process is the personality and electrical test. Okay. So what advice would you give to Jay Hall about doing one of the arcade technician style tests?
One thing I would stress to them is that a test doesn't show how a person can be on time and stuff like that. And if you're that type of person, I would stress that no matter how you do on the test, I don't think I've aced my test years ago, but one thing that would help is to know schematics. Like every test that I've seen, and if he knows how to solder and stuff, he probably knows schematics, so he's probably okay there. But don't stress out over a test, because and that's what I would tell the person that you're interviewing. I don't know how I'm going to do on this test, but let me tell you what I will do. I'll show up on time. I'll do everything, and I'm very passionate about working on games.
That's all you need.
That to me says more than any test, and I hope to them, if it doesn't, then you shouldn't work for them.
Sounds good.
But I think studying your schematics and symbols and stuff would probably help.
Sounds good. Okay, Tim, so we also talked about the food trailer, and we have actual pictures of the food trailer, so let's go ahead and show that real quick. And Tim, I think it looks sharp. Right now, it is parked outside of your place. I see it out there all the time, which is right next door to the competition. But you guys have it out there, and it looks, like I said, really sharp. And this is the outside of it, so you see one side, and then you see like the left side, the right side, and then you see it with the door open in the middle there. And so that's pretty cool. Looks like you have 3 windows there.
Yes.
So
3 serving windows. Right now we're in the process of we had to do a little modification. It came from California. That is a wrap that a guy did locally that did all the painting and stuff, and I think it looks awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I think that came out really well. It was pretty reasonable for what they did. Then right now we're trying to get health inspection, and we're getting a POS system. We're going with Square. I think that they offer one of the best deals, and so we should be ready. We're big news here, John, is that we did get in. They said it wouldn't happen. It would probably take a year or two to get into the East Texas Fair, but somebody didn't pay their thing in time, and somehow they said a miracle happened. You guys are in.
Sweet.
We're in the East Texas Fair and the Longview Fair.
One of the biggest weekends in East Texas for sure.
So I got a busy fall coming up. But anyway, this is, I hope, will produce some jobs.
And let's go ahead and show the inside here. Now this is the front on the left.
I think the front is cool because you see our tanks there are painted and wrapped just like it, so it kind of matches. Inside you see our oven, which is a Lincoln. Those of you guys who are familiar with pizza ovens, we'll cook. You can put 2 large pizzas side by side, run it through there, and all that. It looks that's kind of a stainless steel that's been like brushed, and so you kind of see those marks there. That's okay. It looks fine. You got a lot more room in there than you think. One thing that you don't see in there is no air conditioning. So much like our hotel in Germany, it is hot in there. But we are going to maybe put some kind of little unit thing in there.
Now I was gonna say, if you're going in the fall though, it may not be as much.
It won't be as.
But you do have a pizza oven going in a small spot.
Yeah.
So I mean that's part of it.
Yeah.
So looks good to me though. I'm ready for some pizza from there. So.
Oh yeah.
I just put a game in there. We already talked about putting a game in it somewhere.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a game on there.
Okay, I'm going to skip the Prime Day stuff. Let's go ahead and move to sports talk just real quick for Louie. Trade deadline was yesterday. I was thinking the Rangers were going to do more. They didn't. But the big trade of the day was that the Astros somehow got Zach Greinke from the Diamondbacks, which I have no idea how that happened. But it's a total travesty. That means that the Astros will be the best team in the American League West
if they weren't already, they are now, right?
They're the best team in the American League. So good luck, Astros, and we'll try to play in 2023.
Right.
So, and then training camp, all of our Cowboys fans are out in Oxnard, California right now, Tim, and they're training up, and apparently Travis Frederick is ready to go. People have seen Jason Witten out there. So, practicing.
I'm going to try to find his name, but the son of a coach in Germany that came through the lane for Longhorns is in Miami training camp. If he makes a team, that could be the first person from Langford to actually make the pros.
Wow.
So good luck to him. I'll try to find his name. I'm sorry I don't know his name, but I thought that would be a cool deal because for them to play American football and actually have a player make the NFL will be a dream.
So with training camp starting, Tim, do you want to make an early preseason prediction as to what the Cowboys' record will be at the end of the year? I'm just curious.
I think that the record I would think would be similar to last year.
10-6?
10-6 I think would be probably.
You're way more optimistic than I am. I'm saying like maybe 9-7, closer to 8-8. We have a tough schedule.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. Now I think 10-6 is possible, but I don't know.
Yeah, it just depends. There's so many factors. One player get hurt or somebody out or miss half the season, being suspended or something, typical
And
Cowboys.
Zeke's holding out. I mean, I don't know if you've heard that. So.
I did hear that.
But anyway, we'll see what happens with that. Tim, let's move on to movie and TV talk. What did you see on the plane? Anything good?
On the plane, I watched, and I don't, for whatever reason, half the movies are in German. Then they did have some new releases. I watched Dumbo, which I actually thought was pretty good.
Was it good? Dean DeVito and Michael Keaton?
I liked it.
Okay.
I thought it was
I've been wanting to see it.
Worth watching. I don't have.
10-6. Louis says 10-6 on the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's kind of my guess.
Yeah.
But I watched a movie about Germany and after the war. It's called Aftermath. When it has anyway, it's a very, very good movie. So it was a great movie.
Aftermath.
Yeah, Aftermath. It's about what happened after the war and how the English came in and were helping them rebuild. They basically would take over homes. And this one home, this guy is there. He's kind of working, cutting wood, being a servant. That was his house. It's a monster house. So the governor of England is working there. And,
okay.
So Natalie Portman's in it. So
okay.
Anyway, I think you would find it very interesting. What else did I watch? There was TV episodes, and there was a TV show I've never seen. Have you ever seen a show called The Middle?
Yes, I've seen The Middle before. Pretty funny.
And
ABC?
I've never seen The Middle because we don't watch regular TV much. I was kind of funny.
You got Hulu?
Yeah, I have Hulu. Okay, because there was about 6 episodes, and I watched that. There was the last season of Big Bang Theory. I watched all of them because I had not seen every one of them. That was good. What other movies did? I watched Aquaman.
I haven't seen Aquaman.
And it was okay.
I've heard it's good.
It was good. It was typical. It was good. It was better than I thought. Kind of good.
Right.
So enjoyed that. You know how it is when you're on the plane. You're like, actually, when I got to Germany, I was like, I don't want to watch any TV. I'm good. I was like, I've watched enough movies and TV. It seems like there was one other movie. I watched a documentary on how the plane was made.
Oh, there you
I
go.
thought that was interesting, how they fly in parts to fix it, and special planes and stuff. So, what about you? What have you been watching?
So I saw the one movie or documentary I saw was The Big Hack. So it's on Netflix.
Okay.
It's gotten a lot of press, but it's about Cambridge Analytica and Facebook and all that stuff. So it tries to make, just like the media has tried to make, Cambridge Analytica like they were this big, nasty, bad company and everything like that. So what I got from it was Cambridge Analytica was just taking advantage of a system that was put in place by Facebook.
Okay.
Okay?
Right.
They were taking advantage of a system that's put in place by Facebook. They make it out to seem like they can control how people vote, but really what they do is they analyze statistics and figure out how to market to people effectively.
Right.
Okay, that's what they did.
Well, that's that thing everybody's talking about. It's scary how me and you will be talking about Texas Rangers, and then I get on my Facebook an hour later, and there's something about the Rangers. And
they know a lot about you.
Right.
But my thing is, like, Facebook is the one who developed all these APIs to control all that
Right.
stuff. All Cambridge Analytica did was tap into the APIs that Facebook built to pull all that information.
Right.
Okay? And everybody who signed up for the surveys gave them access to all their stuff. So whenever you took one of those stupid surveys, guess what? You gave them access.
Exactly.
And so it's like, just, if you want to keep your stuff private, like, keep your stuff private.
Right. It's like those age apps that everybody are doing, but they're asking for permission, and I don't know that they're necessarily just doing all kinds of stuff, but it does make you wonder.
But here's the thing that they claim. They claim from that data they can predict like how you'll vote, and I'm sure they can for me. But like even how how they predict that they can influence an independent voter to vote a certain way.
I don't believe that.
I don't either.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
think that is total BS, personally.
Yeah.
Okay. You can be able to predict how I vote. I can almost guarantee you can predict how I vote from a lot of the information that you glean on my Facebook page.
Right.
You guys can probably look at it and tell me how I vote, okay? But the thing about it is that they claim that they can convince people, they can change people's minds, they can change independent voters' minds because they take that data set, they determine who's susceptible to being changed, and then they market to them specifically through those parameters. And that's just, it's hard for it, and the documentary makes the point that it's hard for us to believe because we want to believe in free will. We want to believe that everybody has a choice. Look, I understand that some people are susceptible to certain marketing and that finding that marketing is key. But guess what? Just because you look at data and it says that somebody's susceptible to a certain type of marketing, guess what you still have to do? Come up with the marketing.
Right.
Right? Like, it doesn't tell you, like, how to market to those people. You have to come up with something that meets that criteria. So Cambridge Analytica was a marketing firm. That's really what they were.
Right.
But they were using the information from Facebook to be effective at it.
Okay.
Okay? But are they any different from a marketing firm that stands in a mall and pays you to do surveys?
No.
No!
Not at all.
They're the same. Now, the big thing that they got in trouble for was scraping the profiles of not just the people who are doing the surveys, but the friends of the people who are doing the surveys. But guess who allowed them to do that?
You.
Facebook.
Right.
And
Facebook.
you.
Right, you did.
So they made it out like it's like Cambridge Analytica is some big, bad, evil thing responsible for everything.
Right.
And after watching the documentary, which the documentary wants you to believe that as well, that feels like total BS. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So that's just my thing. So anyway, Danny says Lucifer. Have you seen Lucifer?
I have seen. I have not watched it.
Me neither.
But I've seen it, and it's kind of like on my radar, maybe. And I do know some people that have watched it, and they say it's very good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've heard good things. I watched Exhibit A based on your recommendation.
What do you think?
Fantastic. All 4 episodes are great.
And I thought I need more episodes because it was like once you watch the first, it was a different show, different type of show. I don't know why it caught my attention. I liked it.
Yeah, it's great. And then I watched Jessica Jones.
I
watched the entire 3rd season.
Third season, yeah. I'm on season 3.
Which is the last of all the Marvel Netflix stuff. And it was good.
Yeah.
And if you like Jessica Jones, you should watch it. Tim, but I've got 2 coming up here in August that I'm super excited about.
Okay.
Mindhunter. Did you watch season 1?
Mindhunter.
Mindhunter.
Awesome.
So Mindhunter is about the guys who basically developed the methods for capturing serial killers.
It's kind of like it's not a documentary. It's a docudrama. And it's very good. If you haven't seen Mindhunter, you need to watch it because I'm definitely. And now I haven't seen it in a while. That makes me want to go home and watch it again so I can be ready for the next season.
Exactly.
Really good.
But basically it's about getting in the minds of serial killers, knowing how they act, and then trying to predict when a serial killing has taken place. It's really interesting.
What's the name of the great big guy that plays a serial killer on there? I don't know. But that guy should win an Academy. There ought to be some kind of award for his acting in that movie, because I've heard him in regular life. Oh my gosh, that guy is a great. He nails that part and makes you scared to death. Can you imagine sitting across from him and interviewing him? He, when he gets up, and it's like, oh wow. If you listen to that guy in real life, you will and see him without the long hair and everything. Wow, does he nail that part? He's a great actor.
Yeah, so it's very much a drama, but it's very good and definitely worth your time. If you're interested in true crime stuff, you'll nail it. It'll hit you. So, and then Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling is coming back for season 3 mid-August, and I'll be watching that as well. So, is there anything else that we need to cover? I did watch Long Shot with Charlize Theron and what's his name? About her being like a presidential candidate.
Yeah.
I watched that. I fell asleep in it, so that's kind of my review. It was good what I saw of it, though. But a lot of language and some scenes and stuff. So
I was trying to figure out what else did I see on the play. I did enjoy the middle. I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, this is a better show than I.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Haven't heard of it.
I've only seen individual episodes, but it used to come on, I think, after the Goldbergs. So if you watch the Goldbergs on ABC, it's, you'd see it afterwards. Let's see. I mean, I think that's about it for stuff that I'm interested in. If you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, it's out on digital now.
Oh, okay.
If you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, it's out on digital now. So you can go ahead and watch it now. So we've already spoiled a lot, but but if you want to see it again, it's out. I'm trying to think of what else. Have you watched Doctor Strange? You're supposed to do that.
No.
You still have my Doctor Strange Blu-ray, so watch it.
Okay, I'll watch it. I've watched some.
You should watch the whole thing.
I need to watch the rest of it. I should have downloaded it and took it with me on the plane.
There you go. So Prime Day, real quick, I picked up an Echo Show, which is the Alexa device with a screen.
Right.
Super awesome.
Okay.
And I picked up a 4K Fire TV stick.
Wow.
Because they were offering for cheap. I picked up 2 Fire 7 tablets. I picked up a Echo Dot 3. I mean, did you see how cheap this stuff was?
I heard, and I don't know. I guess we were just getting ready for our trip and didn't really, it was packing. It was last minute. I didn't all the last minute stuff I needed to take care of. Seemed like I missed it. I didn't get anything.
Well, if you wanted deals, they had deals, and I mean, and the Echo Show 5 is awesome. It does a slideshow of all of our pictures on it, and it has a little screen. If you tell it to do a recipe for chocolate chip cookies, it'll bring up on the screen. It'll walk you through the steps.
Pretty cool.
I mean, it does all sorts of cool stuff.
Try that.
So, yeah, so it usually retails for $90. They had it for $50, and if you traded in like a first generation Echo, you got it for like $10.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean that's how good a deal it was.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean there were so many fantastic deals.
How much were the tablets?
The tablets, I traded in my old. Remember the Fire tablet you used to use when we did the podcast?
Yes.
I traded that one in. I got 2 of them for $30.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, 2 tablets for $30.
Wow.
So, in trade-ins, they were offering a whole bunch of trade-in credit.
Interesting.
So that was one of the biggest things. So I upgraded like all my Amazon stuff because they were offering upgrades. But anyway, okay, I think I'm done. Are we done? Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Nothing in the chat room?
Nope, I think we're done.
You guys are quiet.
Yeah, they're quiet because I think they all fell asleep during the vacation slides.
No,
just kidding. No, I thought they were pretty interesting, actually. So I think some of the places you went were pretty cool. So, the thing you're talking about, like having the adapter for Germany, though, imagine if you had to go to 3 different countries like we did.
Oh, my gosh,
3 different adapters.
Yeah.
Now, we bought the kit that would convert to, like, anything.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, you need to get that. So, if you're traveling to multiple countries in Europe, get the kit that allows you to just...
Well, and the converters work great for, like, phones.
Yeah, for phones.
And stuff like that. But we didn't realize our hairdryer took a lot more amps than their hairdryer. Even though it was less voltage... That's what we talk about in video games. Well, how many amps are you pulling?
Right.
And because we blew two of them, and one of them I was like, okay, your hairdryer just went out. Oh, it burned. Oh, well, something must have been wrong with this one. Let's try another one. It didn't take long to do 2 of them. Then we decided, you know what? We better quit.
So Danny says just real quick, what's the difference between mechanisms for tokens and quarters?
The only mechanism is the cradle.
Cradle size may be different.
And a weight. And the cradle size.
Yeah, cradle size and the weight. So
we used to do this trivia question all the time. What was bigger, a quarter or a token? And the quarter is smaller.
Yes, quarter is smaller, token's bigger.
Yeah.
If it's a .985 or whatever it is.
Yeah, around it, diameter-wise, it's.
Now, you can get the dual mechs that take either, like the Imanex that we like to recommend, and all you have to do is adjust the width of the opening as to whether it'll take quarters or tokens.
Dan, if you haven't seen it, we do a video on mechs, and how to adjust them. And it talks a lot about the specifics of what we're mentioning. If you don't know where the cradle or the weight is or this or that, we go through it in that video, so you might want to check that out.
Yeah, adjusting a coin mech.
Adjusting a coin mech.
There we go. Okay, tired.
Me
Gotta
too.
go sleep right now.
I'm fixing to head straight home, and I'll probably be asleep in an hour.
Yeah, the coin door's all right. The coin door is clean. No, the game room is clean
Yeah,
because I had a party over here like for July 4th. We had a lot of family in, so I cleaned it up. There's boxes over here just because we got a lot of stuff in from Prime Day, so there's a lot of boxes over here. But if I took the boxes and put them in recycling, it'd actually be clean. You can play in here.
Can you
But,
believe that? August.
So school's about to start. So good luck for all those who are going back to school. Hopefully you have a good time. And we're going to see you next month. And Tim, before we sign off here, I always like to say when that will be. And Tim, that will be in 5 weeks on September 5th.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks.
The 5th.
So
Okay.
you have an
We'll
extra
see
week.
for a while.
I was going to say you have an extra week that you have to not have us around. Usually it's 4 weeks between, right?
Oh, well, we need a break.
We do need a break.
Extra week.
It's tired. We need to call
Okay,
Stan.
catch up.
Happy birthday, Stan.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday if you're watching this, Stan. Happy birthday. So, hang on. Let's see what we got here. Electronics says K7000 with vertical lines, bars only on the left of the screen. Any idea how to fix? There's a capacitor.
Yeah, it's a capacitor.
Yeah, there's usually there's one capacitor, but it may be good to just go ahead and do the whole cap kit. There's one capacitor that will cause that. It's usually dead center in the middle of the chassis. Can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But if you do a cap kit, it'll help the issue tremendously, and it should include that one cap that you need. So if you haven't done a cap kit in a while, try the cap kit first.
All right.
Okay, we're out, guys. We'll see you for September, episode 31. And until then, good night and have a good one.
See ya.
There we go. We're out.
Somebody.